Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the November 18th, 2025 Post Falls City Council meeting. Shannon, please note that all council members are present. I will announce that we do have 3 public hearings tonight, and if anybody wishes to speak during those public hearings, there are forms in the back of the chambers. Please fill them out with your name and whether or not you wish to testify, and turn them into our clerk, Shannon, up here. Ceremonies, appointments, announcements. We do have an announcement. First of all, though, before I start, I'd just like to congratulate those who were in the past election and won their position. So congratulations to you, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck and good success in the future. City Hall and City Business offices will be closed Thursday, November 27th and Friday, November 28th in observance of Thanksgiving. Police, fire, and rescue services for emergencies may be reached by calling 911. The police department will remain open for walk-in emergencies. For water-related emergencies, please call 208-773-3517. Are there any amendments to the agenda tonight? Are there any declarations of conflict? Would you please present the consent calendar?
So item A is minutes from the November 3rd, 2025 City Council meeting. Item B is accounts payable, November 5th through November 18th, 2025. Item C is the ARC subdivision final plat approval. And item D is early dawn and Zorros annexation grant of rights of way and easements, ANNX-24-1.
Are there any questions on the shortest consent calendar in recent history? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion seconds. Further discussions? Shannon, please take the roll.
Stigleader? Aye. Davis?
Aye.
Plouffe?
Aye.
Westland?
Aye.
Ziegler?
Aye.
Malloy?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We are now at public hearings, and the first public hearing tonight is the Echo Estates Annexation, ANNX-24-5. And with that, I'll open the public hearing.
Good evening, Mayor Jacobson and City Council. My name is Justin Souter, and as you said, the item before you this evening is Echo Estates Annexation, file number ANNX-24-5. The applicant is requesting the City Council to approve the annexation request for approximately 9.72 acres with a medium-density residential zoning designation into the city. You can see the site here in the red hatched lines. It's located generally west of the Cabrillo State subdivision at the terminus of Okanagan Avenue, and it is north of Echo Drive. It's on Echo Drive and west of McGuire Road. Here you can see that these 2 parcels are currently not within the city and therefore do not have a zone designation. The properties to the north, south, and west are all within the county, and there are properties to the east that are both in the county and within the city in the R1 single-family zone. The applicant is requesting a zone designation of R2, which would be consistent with the properties to the northeast of the project site, as you can see here in this orange color. And then also this map is actually slightly out of date now because there have been 2 other annexations that have been approved recently on these parcels that are also with the medium density designation. The site currently has 2 single-family homes. It's over the Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer. It's in the East Green Acres Irrigation District, and they have a will serve letter from them. For wastewater, it would be handled by the City of Post Falls. The city has capacity to provide service and is willing to serve the property at the requested density. And any existing septic systems would be removed, and a new subdivision would be required to connect to city sewer. Echo Drive is a local residential roadway, and additional rights of way and easements would need to be provided as part of the annexation request. Now we will get into the zone change criteria. The first, is the proposed zoning district consistent with the future land use map and focus area contained in the currently adopted Post Falls Comprehensive Plan? The future land use designation classifies the subject property with a land use designation of medium density, which is the same zone designation that is being requested by the applicant. And the proposed annexation is also within the West Prairie Focus Area. This area is expected to develop as partially residential, and R2 is an implementing zone district for the focus area. Looking at the site within the context of the larger area, you can see that there are a lot of different uses going on in this area. Further south, we have commercial and industrial uses along Celtice. There are single-family uses further to the north and a church. The site itself also has some single-family uses in the county on larger lots. There are medium-density uses also to the south and west, and there's even multifamily to the east, directly across McGuire. So this area is generally characterized by higher intensity uses along Celtice that then transition into less intense uses the further you go north along McGuire. The proposed R2 zone may be appropriate buffering between commercial and industrial uses that we see south along Celtice and the less intense uses that we see further north. Moving on to the second review criteria, which states, is the proposed zoning district consistent with the goals and policies contained in the currently adopted comprehensive plan? The project site is within the West Prairie Focus Area, which is called out in the current comprehensive plan as an area for future mixed residential uses between McGuire and Corbin Road. This site is between McGuire and Corbin. And the annexation request is consistent with Goal 1 of the comprehensive plan, which seeks to grow and sustain a balanced, resilient economy for Post Falls, providing community prosperity and fiscal health. The R2 zone can deliver attainable housing choices in the form of cottage homes, tiny homes, twin homes, or townhomes, diversifying the housing stock within Post Falls. The recent 2025 Housing Analysis Report encourages the diversification of housing types to meet community needs. There are several factors that need to be considered when applying a new zone, including future land use mapping, compatibility with surrounding uses, and the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. We've talked about some of those, and we will talk about infrastructure and future traffic patterns now. Sanitary sewer is within Okanagan Avenue and flows to the Montrose lift station. That station has capacity for the requested zone and is in conformance with the city's water reclamation master plan. And for traffic, a future subdivision would have access via Echo Drive, which the project is on, to the south, and then they would have access to McGuire through Okanagan Avenue that would go to the east through the Cabrillo Estates. Echo Drive should be designed based on the local residential collector standard, and additional rights of way and dedication are required within the annexation request for things like sidewalk, drainage, and utility easements. The annexation is also consistent with Goal 7, which seeks to plan for and establish types of quantities of land uses in Post Falls supporting community needs and the city's long-term sustainability. The R2 land use designation may help with community needs and long-term sustainability by providing housing types that are discussed in the Housing Needs Analysis Report and Policy 15 of the Comprehensive Plan to encourage diversification of housing to meet community needs. Annexation of the subject site with a zoning request would help provide land for future housing needs at a medium density in an area that is projected to be incorporated into the city. Upon subdivision development, roadway and pedestrian improvements would be required and completed, allowing for continuity of roadways and help create further pedestrian connections through sidewalk and trails as encouraged by Policy 33. The final zone change review criteria: does the proposed zoning district create a demonstrable adverse impact upon the delivery of services by any political subdivision? And at this time, there have been no identified demonstrable adverse impacts upon the delivery of services that have been identified. Here's a list of the agencies that were notified of the project. And here are the agencies that we received comments for. The majority of them either are neutral, have no comments, or will comment at the time of development. The Post Falls Highway District did comment regarding annexing to the south side of Echo Drive and then wanting to enter into a road development with the developer. Here's the criteria for you one more time, and then the site itself. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions should you have any.
Questions for Justin?
Is the road development agreement suggested by the highway district? What would that look like?
I believe it would look like looking at this part of Echo Drive that's connecting to McGuire and what those improvements would look like. But those would be off-site improvements that are not fronting their project site.
And would that mean limiting the development on their parcel until that road is widened, or requiring them to do something about it?
That is a good question. I am not sure. I know that sometimes they get into more of the details at the subdivision request, which at this point there has not been a request for the subdivision.
Is that parcel annexed into the city?
No, it is not. It's within the county. This one parcel right here.
And that property owner isn't like related or doing business with the properties that we're talking about, right?
That is correct. It is just these two parcels.
Ms. Paulus, you
Oh,
want
sorry.
to add something? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'd
you.
also add, just generally speaking, we cannot require off-site improvements as part of the condition of approval.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Robert Paulus, city engineer. I have had some discussion, and it was over a month ago, with Post Falls Highway District. And in their letter to you, and that was part of the packet, it did identify that the road is not adequate for additional traffic because it is a chip seal road, meaning that the road does not have enough structural strength to handle, in particular, what they anticipate from the construction traffic that would be going in and out of the subdivision to build the homes. A road improvement agreement with the highway district, our best idea right now is that it would be looking at reconstruction of Echo Drive on the part that is in the county between the project and McGuire Road to meet a minimum standard, most likely something at least 24 feet wide, possibly as much as 28 feet wide, and then a 2-on-4 or possibly a little bit stronger section than that. But a 2-on-4 section would be what we would be requiring with the subdivision, and we would be requiring the reconstruction of Echo Road in front of the property if they were to be given a approval of a subdivision, and it would be to build towards a 36-foot wide road. I hope that gives you a little bit more detail.
So this is about the construction vehicles and not about the number of cars from the subdivision?
The construction vehicles going in and out when you're bringing in concrete trucks, trusses, and other stuff is going to do a lot of damage to a chip seal road. You're also going to have a lot more limitations because of freeze-thaw cycles between January and it's usually into April timeframe. Once you get through that, the number of vehicles, and this is my opinion, not the Post Falls Highway District, I cannot speak for them on that part. Once you get to that part, the impact of the vehicles, cars and small pickup trucks is not nearly as much.
But can this road handle the way it is now, the traffic that is being proposed to be built on that site?
Not knowing what the structural section of that chip seal road is, I cannot answer it. I would defer to Post Falls Highway District. They know what's out there. My best suspicion is that it should be rebuilt to a residential standard to get to McGuire Road.
And that's not part of the city's presentation to council, that the existing road may or may not be able to support the proposed development?
With annexation, it doesn't change the impact to the roadway because it's not putting any traffic on that road. When they go to subdivision, they would then bring the road up to city standards.
But not the part of road that's not being annexed.
And that part would be negotiated with Post Falls Highway District.
Requiring land from the piece of property of the owner that's not involved in the development? How are you gonna make that piece of road wider if you don't take land from that property owner? You're shaking your head, and am I saying it wrong?
No, you're just wrong.
I think the question is at time of subdivision, at the sort of lower end of the funnel, there would be some sort of an agreement due to the damage that the road would suffer to have it rebuilt to a residential standard within the current right-of-way, I think is what's trying.
So with the staff report at the time of subdivision request would be that the road is not adequate to handle traffic going out to McGuire Road, and that Post Falls Highway District has these concerns that would need to be addressed
Before subdivision is approved.
before you could approve subdivision and go to construction plans, yes.
I still understand your question, though, because we've got 3 property owners there. I'm assuming it's 3 on either side of Echo Road between the proposed annexation site and McGuire Road. And if you're widening that road, then it's going to obviously encroach more into their property,
It will
correct?
not be encroaching. Echo Drive is a 40-foot right-of-way right now, and you're
Claim the
looking at
right-of-way.
That was the
under a
question.
30-foot wide road.
Perfect, thank you.
And so then the county would require of the developer, or the county would have to, like, fund widening that
Right now, the
road?
Post Falls Highway District
Oh,
would be
sorry.
asking for a road development agreement with them so that they would be taking care of that. So that would be something we would be looking at and discussing with the public hearing for subdivision.
And should all the parties not want to play or not come to an agreement, then this piece of property would be annexed with a zone but not be able to ever start construction until that improvement was made.
Or they would have to find a way to get approval of a subdivision, and I don't see how that would happen, to develop it and not have access onto Echo Drive until Echo Drive meets design standards.
Okay.
There
So
are
it-
fire code requirements that impact that.
It sounds like the condition of Echo Drive then is not really at issue at this moment. We're just dealing with the annexation itself. And then dealing with that road and improving that is a problem for the subdivision hearing later in the process.
That is correct.
Any other questions of Rob or Justin?
It seems to me, and maybe I just don't understand this process, but it seems like a bit of getting the cart before the horse of adding an annexation and subdivision before the road to it is able to support that kind of traffic.
That is something for council to determine as to how much is that the cart before the horse. Is that something that the developer should be talking with the highway district and get a different letter of support or a non-support from Post Falls Highway District? But we would have a methodology to sit down with the developer and the highway district before a subdivision public hearing.
Okay, so then my other question is in regards to the highway district's letter asking for annexation of the right-of-way south of Echo Drive. Is that something we're entertaining in this, or we're going to the center line as we normally would?
That is something that is standard and is a state code, is that when we annex onto a roadway, that we take the entire rights-of-way of that roadway
On both sides.
on both sides.
So effectively then, we have a parcel that we need to access by major improvements to Echo Road that we will be claiming the right-of-way on both sides of where the parcel abuts it, but also the county will be claiming right-of-way on the other 3 parcels, like Mr. Malloy mentioned, in order to access this piece
County or
before.
highway district?
I'm sorry, the highway district, yeah, which is in county land,
Yes,
before any kind of subdivision would be able to be accomplished.
that is correct.
And part of, I guess my thought is, I'm not saying one way or another whether I support or don't support, but if they're looking for annexation, if they want to annex, and if they're required to, get everything worked out before with the highway district on that piece of road, if the city's not willing to annex them, where are they going to spin their wheels? I think if they received annexation, then that's when they would probably pursue it, with the understanding that they're not going to be able to get a subdivision until they reach an agreement with the highway district to improve that road. But again, is it putting the cart before the horse? I don't know. But do they want to take the time and effort to go work with the highway district to get a plan approved and find out that the city's not willing to annex? So that's it's a balancing act.
Yeah, naturally you would want to know before you sink too much money into it, whether the city's going to annex you or not, before you work out all the contracts.
And that being said, it makes sense.
Any questions, Rob or Justin? Opponent are you done now, Justin?
That concludes my presentation, yeah.
Perfect. Opponent wish to speak?
And that they wanted-
Name for the record, please.
Yep.
I'm not real handy with that thing. Just make sure it's in presentation mode.
Yes, sir. There you are.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor Jacobson and council members. Jeremy Terzulli. I'm a land use consultant collaborating with Olson Engineering tonight for Eagle Crest Land LLC. Mayor Jacobson, thank you very much. That was excellent clarification. I was going to say that about as far as we're going to have to get out there and do some core sampling on Echo just to really see what's going on. The letter from Post Falls Highway District was very just broad. It just said it's insufficient for a subdivision at this point in time. So in order to know if we can have a subdivision that's viable out here, we have to get annexed first, and we're working with all the agencies to make that happen. So, and I'll get to that a little bit more in my presentation. So first, I'm not going to belabor the point. The R2 zoning designation was exactly the staff analysis indicated that that was the appropriate zoning. We had a robust discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting a couple of months ago. They also recommended the R2 zoning, finding that it was consistent with the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, the goals and policies in the comp plan. And then additionally, the developer is willing to enter into a development agreement that will restrict future uses on this property, because we are aware that this council, we've been a part of and watched previous meetings and hearings, and we understand the feedback from the council with regard to multifamily development, and we're willing to enter into agreements to steer away from that. So we did pull the subdivision request. We were going to run them concurrently. Then we started to run into some of these hurdles, let's call them. So we pulled the subdivision, but in order to give the council a discussion and help guide what a zoning development agreement might look like, I wanted to let you know that we ran multiple options on this. Even though this is not a subdivision request at this point in time, I wanted to lay out for you 3 options that we thought were viable for this piece of property. Option 1, we're going to start with the one that we are least favorable towards. This kind of represents developments similar in the area. These would be smaller lots, 4,800 to 8,000 square feet. Some of the larger lots would be those ones up to the north, as Okanagan makes that slight chicane to the north. The density is still very reasonable, but we feel this kind of represents a lot of the other development that's in the area, and it doesn't offer that diversity of housing. One of the reasons, again, that we pulled the subdivision request is that Mr. Stoker, that's my client, he did canvass the neighborhood a bit, tried to get their feedback, see where they were at. Feedback from neighbors was, if it's going to develop, the larger the lots, the better. Mr. Stoker has done a number of subdivisions in Post Falls on these larger quarter-acre lots, shop lots we'll call them. They've been very successful, and he has no problem developing something like this. However, it was directly in conflict with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, and so we didn't really want to get tripped up on a, pardon me, on a technicality saying that you're asking for an R1 zoning, and yet the comprehensive plan and the future land use map says R2. So we're looking for guidance from the council. If you decide to annex this property, we'd be willing to memorialize any one of these 3 options, this being the second of 3. The third is, this is our preferred layout. It's a little hard to see on this slide, so I'll move to the next slide where it shows a little bit greater detail. These are the twin home lots, and these are something that currently we're unaware of. We're unaware of anything like this that exists in our area. The twin home concept features. So those little dashed lines on those lots represent footprints. So each twin home would also have a shop on the parcel. Each twin home would be on its own individual lot. Areas to the, does my pointer work? Not real well. Areas over here to the west have been spread out a little bit to allow access to the back. The internal lots, that would be those ones here and here. Those shops are going to be accessed by a privately owned and privately maintained alley to get to those shop lots. The ones to the north would also have an alley to get to the back of the property, and then the ones adjacent to Echo, those would also be spread out a little further like the ones to the west to allow access to those shops in the back. Again, every one of these parcels, every one of these properties, each half of the twin home is on its own taxable parcel. It's a property that can be owned fee simple. A mortgage can be obtained for that property. These are not duplexes. These are single family residences. However, the party wall is also the property line. We feel like this is a reasonable entry-level shop home, shop lot. That's a home with an accessory structure on it. We can save a little bit in construction costs by having that party wall, add some of that savings towards the shop. We do believe that we're going to capture a bunch of the move-up buyers within this area that are enjoying that North Idaho lifestyle where they have the boat and the ATVs and those types of things. We really think that we can create an affordable shop product if we do something like this. But again, not duplexes. Plenty of the public comment, the letters talk about duplexes. There's a big difference between a duplex and a twin home. Each one of these units can be owned individually. So I just want to make that incredibly clear. And this would be a rendering that my client's architect drafted. As you can see, each half owned fee simple, each half with a 2-car garage, and then additionally a small 600-ish, 700 square foot shop in the backyard. So now moving on to the annexation portion, now that I sort of outlined some of the options, and if you guys choose to annex, what the potential development agreement could contain, we would be willing to memorialize more or less any one of those designs, densities, and those types of things. So straight out of the comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan does offer guidance with regard to annexations, where it does talk about prioritizing annexing county islands. And although there is a small opening of county land to the north, making this most technically a peninsula, we are roughly 1,200 feet off of Celtice Way, the major east-west commercial corridor in the city. And we are, in essence, surrounded by city here on this property. We will be able to implement a few of Post Falls traffic plans. Leveraging existing infrastructure does talk about its proximity to Celtice and those commercial uses there, as well as the more than adequate infrastructure that exists on McGuire, the lift station, all the pipe in the ground. The lift station out here was sized to accommodate future growth in this area. And so that's what the comprehensive plan alludes to when they talk about leveraging existing infrastructure. We do believe this represents orderly development in the area, dedication of right-of-way, although there will be some work to do to get the rest of the right-of-way along Echo. And the city can minimize any fiscal impacts through those development agreements. So regarding traffic, I did have the engineer of record for Olson Engineering, that would be Steve Soltis, prepare a trip generation letter for this. And on the screen you can see for the twin home layout, we would be talking about 500 trips within a 24-hour period. That's 40 a.m. peak, 52 p.m. peak trips. The large lot, roughly half of that. It should be noted that we did spend a little time talking about this, and he believes that those trips are going to be fairly equally distributed. The northern third of the development traveling along the newly constructed Okanagan to McGuire Road, north or south. Same with the southern third, southeastern third. Anybody in the southern half, it's going to be dictated by, are they going west ultimately or are they going east? And that will dictate how they depart or enter this subdivision. So we're anticipating those trips to be fairly evenly distributed in those three directions. That's Echo West, Echo East to McGuire, as well as Okanagan East. Now, to the point with the Post Falls Highway District letter, some feedback from community members through their public testimony at Planning and Zoning, as well as letters to the city. My client is willing to enter into that agreement with the city as well as the Post Falls Highway District to improve Echo Drive. And backing up to your point, Mayor Jacobson, without some, you can't submit a subdivision unless you're annexed into the city. There's no point in assessing what the road is currently built on until we know whether or not there's a project to do here. So we've analyzed this. My client is willing to do any one of a number of things or a combination of things. Let's start with Echo Drive from the subdivision to McGuire. As Mr. Paulus pointed out, we do have a 40-foot right-of-way in there already. Echo Estates would dedicate the additional right-of-way and build an actual street section there, and then we would work with the Highway District to ensure that the ballast section and the road section all the way to McGuire Road could handle the additional construction traffic as well as the subdivision upon complete build-out. That's likely going to involve widening to 28 feet, reshaping street side swales, and again, working with the Highway District to make sure that that's ready to go. My client is also willing to entertain the idea of doing the exact same on Echo Drive all the way to Corbin, which would in essence bring the entirety of Echo up to Highway District standards within a 40-foot right-of-way. We can't obtain right-of-way from property owners out here at this time, but we can certainly work within that 40-foot right-of-way to bring the street up to a standard that will function and will handle existing and future traffic. Additionally, if this is moving down towards McGuire and Celtice, and this entire stretch from Celtice up to the railroad tracks is only missing one 250-foot long section of sidewalk on the east side of McGuire to make it completely pedestrian accessible all the way up to the railroad tracks. We'd be willing to work with the city to finish off this section of sidewalk, and we would also be willing to work with the city engineer to see if the turning movements at McGuire and Celtice are currently appropriate to handle current and future traffic. So we're open to everything. We just do need to know if we have a viable project here. So benefits of annexation to the city, because I do know that this is a legislative decision and it is not quasi-judicial. We believe that the increased tax base is going to be beneficial to the city. It is a maximizing of existing infrastructure in the area with those sewer pipes that are already in at McGuire, and the road network. Adding in that sidewalk will complete pedestrian connectivity along this entire stretch of McGuire, at least on the east side of the road. Collection of impact fees can further benefit that. The developer willing to contribute additional infrastructure, sign those development agreements to make sure that guardrails are in place for the concerns of this council. And again, the city can direct the type of development in here through those development agreements to help create this diversity of housing that is mentioned. And with that,
Any questions for the applicant?
Would it have cost actual dollars to just create a plan with the highway district about what widening that road would look like if that's something that you're, or bringing that up to highway district standards? I know it was commented by council that it would cost money to do it, and surely if you were actually making changes to the road, it would cost money, but to sit down with the highway district and just pencil out what would need to be done, would that cost a prohibitive amount of money to have that done before you came to us?
as you just give me a second here. So to the trip generation letter, as you can see, depending on what gets built here and what this council, if again you decide annexation is appropriate, you would then, we would hope that you would guide us in what the division looks like. Are we going to listen to some of the residents and their desire to see larger lots out here? As you can see, there's a substantial difference in trip generated in this area, so the highway district may have different requirements. They may say, hey, with the larger traffic load, we really would like to see all of Echo improved, with 50% of that traffic load being distributed in 3 different directions. We think it would be appropriate to improve from the subdivision to McGuire. Until we nail down that target, and we have talked to the highway district, but until we know what we're presenting, and I think Mr. Paulus alluded to this as well, it's very hard to know what their requirements are going to be. There needs to be some core sampling done out there, because the street is a heck of a lot more than just what we see. That ballast section becomes crucially important as to the long-term viability of how that road's going to hold up.
I mean, we know that the road won't be appropriate no matter what is approved there. I feel like it's putting, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like the decision that I'm having to make it's a very difficult position that we're being asked to put in, to annex and or approve something without having any idea of what improvements need to be made to the road and if they will be made at all. So then if we approve it, especially with development agreements on it, which, as you're well aware, are some of my favorite things, but what to request and to put that on a piece of property without having any idea of whether or not the road improvements will be made or can be made, I think puts the city in a tricky situation. And so that's why I'm really trying to nail down, would it have cost a lot of real dollars to ask the highway district, with these 3 numbers that you already have quite beautifully laid out, what the types of improvements would need to be. So
We're pretty confident we know what the improvements are going to be, and we've run the high end and the low end, and we think the project is viable regardless. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. If we felt like it was cost prohibitive, we wouldn't have outlined those 3 options. We think there's a path forward regardless, but again,
it's not the same message that I feel like we just got. So your conversations with the highway district, then you are confident that regardless of what we approve or what we annex, those improvements to the roadway will be made.
So it's going to have to be the agreement with the highway district,
Yeah.
right? That collaboration is going to be critical here. So we're going to have to rest on their engineers and their experts in collaboration with Mr. Paulus and the developer. So I do believe that those improvements will get made regardless.
Okay.
But until we can cut up a section of the road, dig into the ballast section, and really know what our substrate is, that's what's incredibly critical. Their claim, if you read their letter, it was incredibly vague. So it's basically asking us to go ascertain what the road condition currently is, and without a viable project, bringing out some traffic control, cutting up a section of road, getting a mini out there and knowing what the ballast section is. I guess we didn't feel it was a horse in front of the cart type of situation. If we know that we have a project out here or an annexed property that we can bring forth a subdivision, those are all items that we hammer out during subdivision.
Let me see if I can help clarify. So part of the issue is that, so we could theoretically approve the annexation with an R1S designation for half-acre lot. That's a lot less traffic load on the road, so what needs to be done to the road is completely different than if we annex it for R2.
I'm not confused about what he's saying.
Okay.
Seems like it puts us in an odd position to be asked to annex and zone something, especially with very specific development agreements on it for something that we don't know can or will be able to be built out.
Well, look at a commercial development, right? So if you annex in something as CCS, you could put some mom and pop commercial there, or you could put a gas station, C-store, or a grocery store. Until you know what the final product going there is, you don't know what your spacing of approaches is going to be. You don't know how many turn pockets you're going to need. It's the load of the development itself that will dictate what entry onto the public right-of-way looks like and what ultimately improvements will need to be made to that roadway.
Sure, and if it's the road that the property directly sits on, that makes sense, but this isn't road that the property directly sits on, and that's why I think it's kind of odd. But that's okay, I'm allowed to think what I want to think, so.
Yeah, I think there can be differences of opinion on that, which is absolutely fine. But
Sure.
yes, I think the answer to the question is yes. If you're going to determine, you asked, is it going to cost dollars in order to determine that? Yeah, it is, because you're going to have staff time, you're going to have engineering time, et cetera. So I think the question is, yes, is it going to be significant dollars? They don't know at this point.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I have a question about the potential of using Okanagan as a primary access to this entire development. I know it would be varying on, like your chart shows, the trips per day. The reason I'm thinking of this is similar to like what we saw in the Crown Point development, where we had that outlet that is now Spokane Street North, where it was just north of the roundabout, was basically a fire access.
Between
to
the tracks and the
between
roundabout?
Yep,
Yep.
where that was kind of a proposed access for future use until those road improvements were made, but then a primary access further to the west in that particular subdivision. Would you entertain that type of possibility if you don't mind going back to
Yep.
to kind of the preliminary plat? Yeah.
That would be our preferred right there.
So
we'll just
preferred
leave that one
there,
out.
so if we did approve this subdivision with this preliminary plat, would Okanagan be able to bear the trip frequency of all of those parcels without access to Echo Drive?
We would be tripped up by the International Fire Code at that point in
Okay,
time,
that's what I'm
which
asking.
creates a second access once you get to 32, 30? 30.
30. So then it would point us more toward like the half-acre lot zone.
Or just the second point of access. But I guess that it becomes a circuitous argument.
So
we can
the
make,
second point of access is required regardless of what.
yeah, and I think just logically, we would make the improvements to from our entrance on Echo to McGuire, like those improvements would likely have to be made, and even if they're not required, I think we would do it, to
I see.
Mr. Paulus's point. The highway district, I don't even think would agree to it, because concrete trucks, truss deliveries, those types of things, if that substrate is not appropriate, it's gonna start getting pitted up like Pleasant View, right next to Toro and that whole area where the snow tires have just jacked it up to, you're gonna have ruts 3 inches
No, I
deep.
understand. I think that's the point of my question, is if we can divert traffic exclusively to Okanagan to access this subdivision until future annexation of the parcel between McGuire and your parcel to bring up to city code. I'm just throwing out options
Gotcha.
on how to bypass the affecting
I think you would.
Echo Road.
I think you'd put a temporary measure on there. I think you'd build the ballast section so that it's appropriate and can handle full-blown commercial traffic. However, you wouldn't also then have the sidewalk and the street trees. Within a 40-foot right-of-way, we can easily accommodate a 28 to 30-foot wide roadway, which is the classification of this roadway. Have it sheet drain off into the existing swales, but now the ballast section will be, let's say, 12 inches of ballast with a 4-inch crush and a 2-inch asphalt. That's going to handle all the traffic you could possibly want, and we can get that in the existing right-of-way. We would then have the full city street section for the 600 feet in front of this property. Does that help clarify that?
Yeah, I understand. I think it's a more simple answer, I guess. Is it possible to access this proposed annexation and development exclusively from Okanagan? But you
Until we
answered
get
that
to
question
30
before.
residences, and then we would have to provide an additional point of ingress egress. And that includes not just 30 on this, it's the ones already on Okanagan, plus however many we bring in. That in aggregate
would be-
cannot exceed 30
I see.
until we need a second point of access.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think a lot of these questions about echo and access and things are really issues for the subdivision hearing. That for now, it's sufficient for us to know that these are problems that would have to be solved to the satisfaction of the city and the highway district. And what exactly that looks like is unknown at this point, but we can be sure that they will be solved before anything is actually done.
Yeah, it would need city approval for subdivision, and we paused it deliberately for that reason and wanted to, we hear what this council is saying about owner-occupied and those types of things, and we wanted to respond in kind with some options that we felt honored that.
So if I may, will these be, you said there's nothing in Post Falls like this, but they seem to resemble the twin homes that are in Millworks? Those are Those share a wall and have a shop in the back, yes? Or do they share two walls?
Millworks, where in
I
Millworks?
don't remember.
And those are in the city center, not out on the prairie. Yeah, so I think something like this does exist, and then, which I actually
I believe those are townhomes, though, and those are not individually owned. I think they're in common ownership, and then you also lease the shop space in back. I'm not sure how
There is
that's.
some ownership in there.
Is there?
I believe there is some
Yeah.
ownership.
Okay.
I know that, well, anyway, I'll save that comment. Actually like the development, if you'll take that comment, I think it's nice. But I do think, at least for public understanding, a twin home and a duplex on the outside, you said that they are significantly different products, but by looking at them, they do look very similar, in that there's one shared wall for two units, but in the documentation, they are very different, and you are right. There's a property line that goes down the middle of them, but just for public understanding, a twin home is one building that has a property line down the middle for two ownerships. My question is, in the development agreement, it says that there's only single family that's allowed, so does this wouldn't qualify? I mean, how do I want to say that? I'm not sure which way. This is considered single family then, a twin home, even though it's really one large building that's been divided down the middle for the purposes of platting.
Yeah, well, that's the critical point, right?
Okay.
The platting, the party line, the party wall is the property line.
Okay.
Each
And-
one is
yeah.
its own parcel,
Okay.
gets its own unique property description, mortgage, the like. But yeah, and that's why I really wanted to clarify that point, because so many people time and time again will say, well, it's a duplex.
And you can understand why they say that.
Yeah, that's why I
Okay.
really tried to
I know just the
clarify
verbiage of
that.
it was like they're totally different products, and I understand why you say that when you're looking at paper where everything is defined and drawn out with lines. We understand that technically, but when you drive through and look at it, they look like large duplexes. So I just wanted to make sure that that was articulated for your benefit.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anyone wishing to testify? Thank you. Wishing to testify in favor, Ryan Stoker. And as you come forward, please give your name for the record, and there is a timer, and you're allowed 4 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Ryan Stoker. I live at 224 West Eagle Crest Drive in Coeur d'Alene. I'm the developer of the project on Eagle Crest land. What we're asking for from you guys is if you would be willing to give us some guidance today. I went out over a couple weekends, I believe it was in April, and canvassed as many the neighbors as I could catch at home. I went generally between 10 and 3. I didn't want to interrupt anything. But in general, I would say most of them are against any development at all. They were significantly against the small lot single family. They were against the twin homes, but they were thinking the twin homes are going to look like the twin homes up in the corner. These will have actually 30 feet between them because you'll need to get access to the shops in the back. And then the larger lot, some of the residents out there were okay with the larger lots. I actually pointed them to developments we've done. They were generally pretty complimentary of the nature of the developments in those projects. Like Jeremy said, we're willing to be flexible here. We want to work with city and staff, and I appreciate Mayor Jacobson's clarification on, hey, we really would like to get annexation now, so we have the confidence to go forward. To answer Councilman Ziegler's question, probably cost about $6,000 to assess what the road is there now. We would go out with a drill rig. I'm actually a geotechnical engineer. Core down, determine what the substrate, the base, and subgrade are, and then determine what is the appropriate section. It may be a completely rebuilt section. It may be something else. That is the best chip seal road I have ever seen in my life. There's not even any rutting or anything to the thing. So we're just looking for some guidance here from you guys as to what you would like to see. I'd like to listen to the neighbors. They'll come up and talk, and hopefully they can find something that they would be in favor of. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Jeremy Voller would like to speak, and he is in favor.
Mayor Jacobson, Council, thank you. Jeremy Voller, 1689 North Nicholson Center Street. That's my business address. Speaking in favor tonight of the project. Local home builder, my company is Anthem Pacific Homes. I've worked with the developer on numerous projects over the last 6-7 years. Done a lot of projects together. Just wanted to speak in favor of this in the sense of the twin home concept. As a home builder, with how busy our market is, the demand that's very high for our area, very popular to live here. We do have a lot shortage in this area, and so as an annexation request, looking to provide additional lots to this community is very valuable. From a home builder too, obviously we can't build homes without lots, and so providing that inventory or the opportunity for that inventory is greatly valuable for us. The twin home concept, I helped develop some of the product that you saw on the screen earlier, and I ran a feasibility cost breakdown on that type of a product, and it hits right where the market is needing product right now for affordability, attainability. We wrestle with those two terms, but it provides a product in the market that is very price competitive, gives the opportunity for a price point of home that's much in need in the marketplace right now. It's tough to find new construction for anywhere south of 500,000 right now. And I believe we're going to be close to that, if not below it, on this type of a product. Being able to provide shops is a whole nother benefit. When you get into this level of density, it's really tough to fit shops. And I think there's a great need. A lot of our clients have us build them shops. Obviously, we're not building in this type of a product right now, but this does fulfill a big need that I'm seeing in the marketplace right now. Not only being able to provide the economies of scale with a twin home project where you have the shared wall and you get the economies of scale there in construction, but being able to provide a shop as well. So I'm in favor of the project. I'd love to see a vote for approval tonight of annexation, and then I'll be part of the development team and helping consult and develop the product going forward, depending on whatever the subdivision zoning is for the project. So thank you.
Thank you. Wishing to speak in opposition is Kathy Bleisner. Bleisner?
Thank you for letting me speak here today. I live at 2931 West Echo Drive, which is 5 acres to the west of this proposed division.
Would you give us your name, just so it's on
Oh,
record?
Kathy Bleesner.
Thank you very much.
I strongly oppose this. One of the reasons is the road. When he approached me about this, and he was all gung-ho about his development to McGuire, I said, but what about to Echo? He said, oh, that's not my problem. That's yours. Well, I strongly disagree, because not everybody coming out of that development is going to go down McGuire Road unless you put a gate up and don't let them come down that side of Echo Road. Both of the access points onto Echo are very tight. You have to sit back going on to McGuire to let somebody turning left come in, and the same with when you're going out onto Corbin Road. Traffic is not something I'm looking forward to. As you know, TDS dug up that well site for Rathdrum. It's greatly impacted our road today. My husband was awake about 5:45 this morning, sitting in the living room, and he accounted for about 100 cars in an hour that are very noisy, trucks that we don't ever hear. We're quiet. We have people that walk down there with kids and their pets because there's no other roads going in or out. That's a straight access for them. I worry about the sewer, because during the summer, we can't even sit on our deck because of the sewer treatment plant. What's all these houses gonna do to that? You can't get that under control, but you keep wanting to add new residences. I just am totally in favor. At one time, I did tell him that I would agree to one house on an acre, but anymore, after he was adamant that he didn't want to do anything with that road, I don't want his development on our road. We have cattle. Our neighbor grows grapes. It's zoned agriculture, not R1 residential. We're all agriculture. So I really am not in favor of having that many vehicles coming up and down our road, because if they can't get out on McGuire, they're gonna go to Corbin. And it's just as narrow in the middle as it is on the end. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Appreciate it. Next up, wishing to speak in opposition, Debbie Volka.
Hello, I'm Debbie Vaca. I live on Echo, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak and have you hear my opinion. And I just hope that you really listen to the reasons and thoughts of why I oppose this request. And at the planning and zoning meeting, the developer said he would be fine with R1. So I'm not sure why R2 even got recommended, but I guess they go off of these outdated documents they have. I feel that growth is good for most towns if it's done slowly and with great planning. We need to keep this a desirable place to live. The roads should not be full of traffic, and the water treatment plant should not have to be smelled for miles away. I also wondered if, when the Post Falls Highway District got informed of this, did they know that it was gonna affect Okanogan? Because that road is very small as well. There's a gas line that runs along Echo, so I'm not sure how they do that with adding to that street. Homeowners that live there should not have their property value go down by these developers building homes that are just not fit for our area. I just know that the quality is not gonna be there like our homes are. There's very nice homes on this street. I also think this talk about affordable housing, it's still not affordable for the most people that are on average income. And there's nice to have starter homes, but people don't stay in starter homes. They eventually need homes that are for families with large yards. And I really feel like our neighborhood is more geared towards that. Like my neighbor said, that our street is really narrow. When you get onto McGuire, it's very tight. There's no street lights. My property, I have a vineyard on it, which supports a local winery, and I think there should just be places like that for people that come here, that they want to have agricultural opportunities, whether it's 4-H, for the kids to have their animals or their gardens, and just have a community like what Post Falls is about. People come here for these different opportunities, not always just like, oh, I want to live in, sidewalks and concrete. I think once we give up this land to this type of developing, it's just, you're not going to get it back. And I just don't think we need to rush into all this developing. It's just happening way too fast. I want to thank you guys for serving on this committee and the opportunity that you hear public comments. Your job is pretty tough to keep the city a place to live and economically strong, but it's also to keep it safe and to make it a nice place to raise families. So we should have neighborhoods that are more family-oriented. The future of Post Falls is an important decision, and I therefore ask you to deny this request and just keep the development down, keep it slowed down. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, wishing to speak in opposition, Stephanie Johnson.
Can we pull up the map that shows Okanagan Avenue? Can I pull that up on here, or is it not? Good evening. I'm here to speak against the annexation. I live on Okanagan Avenue, and I'm the very last lot. Yep, that's great. So this is my house. I don't know if you can see my mouse right there. Right here, this is my house. And hearing all the talk about the roadway on Echo and all of the concerns there are very valid. I do worry that the developer or engineer might be leaving out their plans to just direct beginning construction right there on Okanagan, and maybe they can clarify that a little bit more. But you know, I understand that matters like construction and traffic routes have to be more appropriate for the developmental phase. However, the fundamental question of R2 versus R1 zoning needs to be decided now if you are going to annex. And that's why what I'm here to address, along with the troubling lack of genuine community engagement. It's interesting to hear that he was going out. Nobody on my street ever heard from the developer. And we built a custom home here. It's an R1 neighborhood with other custom homes. I have small children that like to ride their bikes right there on that quiet street. So it's very concerning to hear that while they're trying to figure out what to do there on Echo, that they could potentially start a development and just reroute everything on that very narrow street on Okanagan. So I'm hoping that they can maybe clarify that. The developer claims, again, that he spoke to residents, but that's simply not true. I'm a stay-at-home mom, never once saw him on my camera or had him come to the door. And he also states he's willing to talk with the neighbors and then moves forward claiming that the 53 lot option is his preferred plan, when clearly they also stated the preferred plan from all the residents he did speak with are those larger single lots. It's also a little alarming. I'm confused at, you know, the need for affordable housing, but also with shops. I don't know that very many people who are trying to buy a starter home also need a space for their boat or other vehicles and toys. I support appropriate development in our area. I don't support R2 housing and rushing through, skipping over really important road planning, and hopefully they can clarify some of those questions. But the R1 zoning would respect the investment that I've made, along with my neighbors right there. And again, growth is inevitable. I'm not saying we should not develop any of that land, but I am in favor of those larger lots. And then just lastly, I would really like some answers question from the engineer of this project or the developer. Will Okanagan Avenue be used for construction access? How do you plan to accommodate for that? It is a very narrow road as well. So I'm just asking that the council reject the annexation as proposed. I welcome development in our city. We moved here 4 years ago from Texas, and we really love it here and have loved making it our home. I've really enjoyed getting to, you know, feel like a heard member of the community. And so I just want all of those things to be considered. And again, the developer, I feel, has misrepresented community engagement and ignored a very impacted street there. And I know a lot of those details can be worked out later. The zoning decision is now, so if it is going to be annexed, I would just recommend that you choose R1. Thank you.
Thank you. In opposition, not wishing to speak, Shannon Stuckey. I know growth is a normal thing, and it is not happening, then decay sets in. If we must have growth, then let's do it in a way that promotes the American dream. Owning your own home and the land it's on. I feel that many things will attract American dreamers. I feel these things will attract American dreamers here, and those folks come with long-term routing plans, which we want here. Medium-density housing isn't the way to grow Post Falls. That tends to bring temporary residents. Applicant, wish to rebut.
Again, for the record, Jeremy Terzulli. Just as a reminder, this is a bit of a rural setting, this odd little pocket here. And I don't mean odd in a denigrating way whatsoever, but as a reminder, this property and this street is positioned 1,200 feet from Celtice Way. That's a quarter mile from the premier east-west commercial corridor in the entire city. we do believe that this represents orderly growth. It's not hodgepodge. It's not a prairie grab. It's reasonable here in this area of town. No, we don't believe it's going to devalue anybody's property out here. Actually, that's a common misconception. As properties become contiguous with city limits and can hook up to city infrastructure or, yes, be purchased by a developer, they actually go up in value. That's a misrepresentation of property values. And if you look at the map again, Okanagan was talked about extensively with our team. And it was actually the developer. If you look at Okanagan, comes to a T intersection on the western side of this layout. That was pushed for hard by Mr. Stoker. Some city staff thought it should probably continue the street network, and he said, heck no, this is a small residential street. It needs to come to a T intersection so people aren't using this as a cut through. Like he pushed for that. So we have taken Okanagan into consideration a lot. And during construction, yeah, we can direct all construction traffic through the south. We will have to improve Echo prior to any approval for subdivision, so that's not a problem. And then the idea of shop homes and starter homes, yeah, like I mentioned, I believe that we are looking to hopefully capture that person in that starter home and making this their next home. Shop homes, shops on your house are not exclusively for luxury items like boats and side-by-sides. You have small plumbers, electricians, contractors that my wife can attest to this, that she was never allowed to park in our 3-car garage because when I was actively contracting, that's where my trailer and all my tools went, and that's where my fabrication for the next day's work was happening. So they actually help encourage keep neighborhoods clean so that stuff isn't parked outside. Just wanted to address those things in this rebuttal, and we respectfully request that you seriously consider annexing this property and cutting us loose to work with the highway district and the city engineer to design a nice, attractive product here. So, thank you.
Any other questions? That closes the public hearing. Thank you all. First question before council, is the annexation of the property in the best interest of the city?
It's a no for me. And for the same reasons that I've stated about other properties in this particular area. While I do think the emphasis on the city goal is to kind of close in pockets that we have of county land, I think it's more especially on more of the east side of Post Falls, whereas in this kind of peninsula of county, it's a kind of a pristine country feel out there that I don't think would apply to that goal. I also think another goal of annexation is to improve connectivity and safety. And with the hurdles that we would have to overcome with connectivity, I don't think that those goals would be accomplished at this time with this annexation.
Do we not deliberate before we go right into questions at all anymore?
First of all, we have to decide.
We do start with the regular annexation, the legislative question.
And then we can deliberate before we have a motion.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can deliberate before you have a motion.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I tend to agree. Before we sort of got, I don't want to say distracted, I think it was a great conversation, but reading through the packet, I was hoping to get more information about it, which I think is good, but I still am slightly hung up on that it's not right on McGuire, so it actually doesn't promote connectivity for current residents of Post Falls. The connectivity for the residents that will live in this piece of property that will be annexed will be addressed, and I think that's appropriate, of course, if you're going to build something, but is the property in the best interest of like Post Falls as is? And I'm not sure that that's actively true, especially when, it's this little, I think an old planning and zoning commissioner used to call it like a jack-o'-lantern teeth, kind of. So I think for those reasons, but I do really appreciate all of the work that was done to try to make it appealing at this time, and all of the different ideas that were proposed by the developer to say we can do this and we can do this, and showing us what they were proposing. Actually very much appreciate that.
Mr. Blue?
Yeah, I'm not against R2, but in this case I am. I'd rather see R1, and I think it would have a less of an impact. There's just a lot of complicating factors, I think, in this little road and this area, and the residents, and the fact that it is a peninsula and not a true island. There's a lot to fill in. Like Samantha, I'd like to see it on, I'd be more supportive of it if it was on McGuire, immediately on McGuire.
So just for clarification, you said you're not opposed to R2, you'd rather see it R1, but your position is you're against the annexation regardless of the zoning.
No, I would be in favor of it if it was R1, but it's put forth as R2.
Okay, Mr. Moore?
I actually think the connectivity part is the best selling point for it in terms of benefit to the city, particularly if Echo is completed to highway district standards in both directions, and then with the sidewalk thrown in on Celtice Way as well to improve pedestrian access from Celtice all the way up. I think really that sweetened the pot a lot in terms of providing connectivity. So in that case, I think this annexation is appropriate.
Okay. Mr. Westman?
I agree. I think this is in the best interest of the city. I think a lot of the weeds with the Echo Road and everything, that's all going to be sorted out, and nothing's going to be built that is on a road that can't handle it. If you zoom out on the map, this is a quarter mile from Celtice, from the main commercial corridor. That area has older commercial that I think needs to be revitalized. This is a big part of that, providing the connectivity coming in, that sweetening the pot with the sidewalk connection, I think would be really good. I like the twin home concept. I think this is an interesting way to get prices to a place where they're still reasonable. They're not over the median home price in the county, but it's still providing a shop, which gives you all kinds of flexibility for being self-employed, for living the Idaho lifestyle, for like not just being crammed into a box, and making sure that every parcel here is ownable, I think is huge, because a lot of developments come in and they want to build high-density housing, or they want to build apartments, or they want to build duplexes, and it's all going to be renters, and that changes the character of the area a lot. Twin homes are different. It's all ownable. These are people who are going to be living there and using the shop. And I think that adds a lot of value to the community. So I would be in favor of the annexation.
Mr. Davis?
I am in favor of the annexation, and I would agree that this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. West Parade focus area, medium density. I went back and looked at the notes at planning and zoning, and I know sometimes we just kind of poo-poo what planning and zoning says, but went back and looked at some of their comments as well. The reality of it is, as was just stated, it's a close proximity to Celtice. I think that there's incredible opportunity, and therefore I fully support it.
So this question is annexation only, not zoning, correct? Thank you. Everyone float a motion.
I would move to approve the annexation.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Davis?
Aye.
Plou?
Nay.
Westland?
Aye.
Ziegler?
Nay.
Malloy?
Aye.
Stigleader?
Nay.
So in 12 years,
I was gonna, what's the timeline on this one?
as I'm going out the door, you give me the opportunity to vote. Thank you very little. There's a big part of me that says I want to abstain. But I'm not going to do that. That would be the easy way out. We're not talking zoning at this point. We're talking annexation. So based on the annexation, and that's the reason, Mr. Blue, I asked you that specific question, I would vote aye for annexation. The next question up is, Mr. Harrington, I will turn that over to you.
All right.
I'm sorry, so the motion passes. Thank you. Your questions.
All right, so moving on to the zoning question. Is the proposed zoning district consistent with the future land use map and focus area contained in the currently adopted Post Falls Comprehensive Plan?
May I ask a question? It just says medium density, so does that mean tight R1 and loose R2, or does that only mean R2?
So for medium-density residential. R2 is the implementing zone.
The only implementing zone.
That is
There's
not the
also
only implementing zone, but it
R3 and
is.
Smart Code 4, I think.
Yeah, there are higher density options in the R2.
I believe it is, R2 is an implementing zone of the medium density designation on the future land use map. And in fact, it is the lowest density one that aligns with the plan.
Anyone else?
Oh, there's no way out of that question, is there? That's pretty much long and short of it. It's, yeah.
So no other comments?
Is the proposed zoning district consistent with the goals and policies contained in the currently adopted Post Falls Comprehensive Plan relevant to the area under consideration?
I would say yes. Goals and policies are to improve connectivity, to provide a diverse array of housing types. And the zoning district would accomplish that.
And it's a land use supporting community needs. Fits within that.
Anyone else?
I struggle with that goal 1 was cited, the prosperity and fiscal health of the community. I don't think that in any way this presentation has supported either of those two claims, other than that it's housing, but that's not necessarily prosperity and fiscal health. Number 15, mix of housing. I guess my heartburn in it being R2, the tighter of the options, because we were asked to decide which one of the densities we would also like on here.
Excuse me, when you say tighter, you mean the most dense?
Yes,
Okay,
the most
thank you,
dense. Yeah.
thank you.
I just made that term up. I don't know. That's really what we call it.
Tighter.
I struggle when we say we want mixed, but then because density allows you to put more units in a given area, we actually end up building more density and less of the lower density just because of how math works. So we might be saying 5 acres of R2, but there's already an R2 development and there's very little like R1, and so that's not really an even mix. That's quite heavy in one direction, actually. So I struggle with that. And then I also struggle with policy 33, where it's talking about roadways for the public. Again, this would be roadways for people that would be living there if the project were to go through, not necessarily the public that exists. If this goes through as R2 with the less dense option, I would request that on that development agreement, all of ECHO is brought up to whatever standard is deemed necessary, and that's ECHO from Corbin to McGuire prior to subdivision construction, not once subdivision is in phase 2 or not once there are 30 homes, prior to the start of the construction on this subdivision. So that's how I feel about this one.
Other comments?
The only other comment I wanted to make here is that since R1 had been floated, that if you look at the area, I think R1 would be very awkward here because we have, not only is the whole area designated on the future land use map as medium, but we already have R2 zones to the north of this, and we have commercial to the south. And if we tried to shoehorn R1 in here, as much as everybody likes R1, this would be sandwiching R1 between commercial and R2, which I think would be an awkward fit. Usually you want to go from R1 to R2 to R3 to commercial and have that kind of a gradient. And so I think that's why the twin home R2 plan makes the most sense here to me out of any of these, in accordance with the policies.
Okay. Mr. Sherrington?
Does the proposed zoning district create a demonstrable adverse impact upon the delivery of services by any political subdivision providing public services within the city?
I would say as long as the Echo Road is redeveloped in both directions, then no, this actually would help the connectivity.
Well, I am curious about why Kootenai Fire and Rescue doesn't say that it creates a demonstrable impact when they asked for $6 million a year from now until forever because they can't service the area. And then the city or the school also requests an additional levy for funding every single year. So this one, I don't know. They don't answer that way in the actual letters that they send us, but in what they ask the city or the residents to do, I feel like there is a demonstrable impact when they don't have the funding that they need for what's already there. So, I mean, I'm not saying that that needs to shoot the whole project down, but I wonder if that will be a consideration going forward for every one of these requests until those two entities answer that question.
Question, very good question that needs to be answered, yep. Great.
My understanding of the setup here is that this increases their tax base because of growth getting factored in. So this provides them with more funding by annexing this. And the recent levy that failed was an attempt to increase the taxes on existing residents, which is a separate question from growth because they're already getting impact fees and things for that. I don't know what their service commitments look like going forward, given that the levy failed. I think there could be some concerns there, but for the purposes of this, we're kind of stuck with the official notice that they give us.
Are we?
Otherwise, it's just
Unfortunately, we are.
speculative, so, yeah.
I think unfortunately we are because, the criteria is indemonstrable adverse impact, so we cannot overrule their comment with our own opinion. It is unfortunate that we don't get greater involvement from our school and fire districts. But I agree with Councilor Malloy on this particular point where, as long as the highway district criteria are met, and I would agree on both directions from McGuire to Corbin, then I think this would be satisfied.
That can be put in, if this property moves forward with the annexation, the zoning, can that be, I know it'll come back for subdivision, but can we ensure that that would be part of the subdivision agreement?
We'll work that into the development agreement, and that will come back.
Good. I'm sorry, ma'am, public hearing's closed, we can't take any more comment. No, we can't, I'm sorry, we can't even have comments. Any other discussion? Better entertain a motion.
I move to approve the annexation request ANNX-24-5, that it be assigned R2 zoning designation, and under the condition there be a development agreement that assures the construction upgrade of Echo Avenue to city standards on the property line and highway district standards from McGuire to the property line and the property line to Corbin. Also to include the sidewalk section on McGuire Avenue, and that there be a restriction to no multifamily plots.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion.
Yes, the density on this piece of property that was proposed, we were asked to pick one of the three.
R2 is what I went with.
No, within R2.
Yeah,
three
they have different
options.
build-outs.
Yeah, but that would come in, that's got to come back to council for the subdivision.
Subdivision doesn't come to council.
That could just.
Subdivisions would go to the planning
Okay,
commission.
but that's
first.
that is where that would be determined? Or can the council put a restriction on it at this point?
So in the development agreement, you could possibly put in something about density, but that starts to get into changing the intent of the R2, so.
Were we not asked to do that by the developer?
They were asked for direction. They asked what direction was.
I heard memorialize.
In the development agreement of the three options.
So I think the twin homes would be allowed outright in the R2 zone. And so there's no additional restrictions that would be needed in a development agreement to accommodate that.
Unless the counselor was in favor of the less dense option that was shown.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Okay.
true.
Great.
Let's get further discussion on that point. Seeing that, I'd entertain a motion.
I think there's a
A
motion
motion.
on the floor.
Motion and a second, correct? Further discussion. It's been a long public hearing, folks. Further discussion at this point? Roll call, please.
Davis,
Aye.
Blue,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Nay.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up tonight is a G2 development annexation and zone change. And with that, I will open the public hearing.
thing won't stand up. Did you break it?
Mr. Manley, before you start, I believe that's the first time Justin has presented, is it not?
I couldn't remember whether he introduced himself, but it might be in the first time he presented.
He did a nice job. He did a nice job presenting the facts, so please pass that on to him.
Yes, all right, well, thank you. All right, John Manley, Planning Manager at the City of Post Falls. Good evening, Mayor Jacobson, Council President Malloy. Introducing the G2 Development, Annexation, and Zone Change, file numbers ANNX 25-2 and ZC 25-1. The owner of tonight's ask is G2 Real Property Holdings, LLC, and Scott MacArthur will be presenting on their behalf. They're asking for residential mixed zoning on approximately a 10-acre annexation and a equally residential mixed on an 8.3 acre rezone request. So on here is the project location. It's at generally the southeast corner of Horsehaven and North Syringa Street. This area you see here, the zone change area A, it's currently an R1 zone. That's requesting for the residential mixed. And the area B here, that's the annexation. The reason why they're doing this concurrently is so they can process a subdivision that would then work with the RM zone. Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this proposal on July 29th, and they forwarded the RM zone as part of this ask. And they also forwarded, and with that, contingently, a 3-phase subdivision plan, which you'll see that tonight. There's also in your staff report a draft development agreement, just like we mentioned in the last one, does allow the opportunity to put guardrails in it if you so choose on this. Here's the contingently approved subdivision. You see here this right here, we see phase 1, phase 2. This right here is an open space, which I'll show you in the next slide that they're proposing, because RM requires a minimum of a 7% open space. These lots here range between 7,000 to 9,000 square foot lots. And then you go over here to the east, they have 6,500 square foot lots, and I think similar lots on this location, which is very akin to your R1 type size lots that you see in Post Falls. They do have, you see here, these cottage lots that are greater than 2,500 square feet, just barely, right here, along here, being accessed through this lane. I know we're looking at the annexation and the zoning, but I wanted you to see how this kind of all fits into their ask. I will note that in the development agreement, it is drafted to say that they're looking for single-family detached. There is no mention of the cottage lots in the development agreement as drafted currently. Here is that open space I mentioned. When looking at connectivity on their proposal, you do see they provide this access point off Syringa Street and this access point off Horsehaven, and provides for future connectivity on the southeast corner of their development. Currently, it's being drafted and proposed as a 2-phase project, but in the conditions of approval, they did ask to go up to 3 phases, depending on future things that may occur, which I'll let the applicant opine on why they wanted to go and have a 3-phase.
Can I ask you I'm so sorry, can you go back to the next slide? And the comment, I looked at the development agreement. Why would we need cottage lots in the development agreement?
You don't necessarily need it. I was just specifying a fact that they do site cottage lots. They would have the option with single-family detached to make those just any other single-family home on a smaller lot.
Gotcha. So then the setbacks and front requirements would be different if they weren't necessarily cottage homes as opposed to just smaller single-family. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
by not
that is a true statement.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to follow why we were talking about cottage homes. Okay, got it. Thanks.
So looking at
Here we are.
cottage lots and why they may be asking for the RM zoning district, you can see here in the purpose, I highlighted this, and they are responsive to changing household demographics, retirees, small families, and young professionals to expand opportunities for home ownerships. In meeting with the applicant, once again, I'll let them expand on it. That was their desire and why they were asking for the RM zoning. Now looking at the RM zoning, you look at here, residential mixed zoning is intended to accommodate a mixed residential community with a variety of housing types and a variety of densities within a development area. And it says the RM zone is appropriate for low, medium, high-density residential areas in the comprehensive plan. Areas readily served by a collector on arterial streets, which is the case. They are served by nearby collector streets. We do have the capacity to serve this as well for public services. And then on the fourth one, areas where the configuration of municipal infrastructure and neighboring land uses are compatible with the uses allowed in the RM zone. So in the staff report, I believe there was commentary on the compatibility on the smart code project to the north. So the project north, the project to the north does have duplexes just on the north side of Horsehaven at this location. You do have alley loaded product along this location that is a fairly dense pattern. And then you go to the SC4, which is some single family. So looking at their proposal, it's very similar to this, just a little bit different in configuration with some cottage lots and R1 lots. Looking at the RM, you can see single-family homes are permitted use outright in the RM zone. I kind of went out of order on that, just to tell the story a little bit. Typically, we have a template, we go in the same order, but in order to get it all and digest the two, I kind of went off script just a bit. But currently on the site, you do have large lot, single-family uses. It is over the Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer. The water service provider would be Ross Point Water District. You can see here with wastewater, the city can provide services, and just like any other annexations that's in the county, we do require any existing septic systems to be abandoned and remaining structures to be connected to city services. And for traffic, you see here, it'd be serviced by Horsehaven Avenue and Syringa, which are collectors, and then we would get additional right-of-way on Horsehaven if approved and upon development. Here's the future land use designation. You see here, it's the low density, and you can see it does support the residential mixed up to 8 dwelling units per acre. It's in the central island. It's in the far western corner of that location. Actually, that would be the far western, but that's about right there. Now looking how the proposal would align with the goals and policies with the proposal. You can see here in the central island focus areas, it looks for incentives for developers to higher densities or modified design standards in exchange for forward-thinking integration. The cottage home development is a newer development, and the mixed residential product does look like they're trying to meet some of the elements that are in our recent housing needs assessment that was done. So that may be considered consistent with the theme of that central island. Looking at comprehensive goal 7, plan for and establish types of quantities of land uses in Post Falls supporting community needs and city's long-term sustainability. Diverse housing types may be a way of doing that and making them potentially at times smaller and more attainable. Looking at policy 8, encourage compatible infill development. Kind of already covered that with the surrounding area. Looking at policy 9, encourage county islands. This is a county island, so the annexation would encourage that. And then policy 15 is looking at that housing element, getting it for all future housing needs, helping to serve residents of all ages. The next one dives into the transportation network. So looking at goal 6, maintain and improve Post Falls transportation network. And it ties into policies 24 and 26, which both of those go into getting the right-of-way to provide the network and the connectivity, which oftentimes we get at the annexation, and then getting those improvements occur at the time of subdivision and development, and that would go into policy 26. And then policy 33 deals more directly to the annexation in itself, and then with annexations, we do get the right-of-way and the opportunity to get those improvements and connectivities. I provided a picture here that kind of ties into those as well. You look at Syringa. The picture right here in the center, that's looking north on Syringa, and you can see the west side of that's improved with urban improvements. The east side, that would be the portion that they would be required to improve, and then you would get the full urban improvements looking northward on that location. Looking easterly on Horsehaven Avenue, you see both sides at this particular picture aren't improved. And then you see, like with their development, they would improve that south side of that. And we would get about 1,300 feet approximately with the Horsehaven and 630 on Syringa. So I pretty much spoke about the first and second criteria of the assigning zoning. The third one deals with notifications and is there any demonstrable adverse impact on the delivery of services. Here's what we noticed. Looking at responses that we got back, they were pretty much neutral. Highway District did comment that they would want us to annex to the north side of Horsehaven, the right-of-way, which that's a requirement. We always go to the other side of the road. Looking at the other ones, we didn't really have any comments or concerns. So I'd stand for any questions you have for me on the...
Questions, Mr. Manley? Seeing none, does the applicant wish to speak?
Yep. There you go. Let's see, I'm betting it's that one. Oh, there you go. That looks like it.
Well, we'll get that to play here in a sec. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Scott MacArthur Engineering here tonight on behalf of G2 Real Property Holdings. We are here requesting the annexation and the zone change that have been very well addressed in the staff report and then presented by Mr. Manley tonight. And for some reason, I cannot get it to move forward.
Here comes help.
Yep, I always need, it's like my kids, they can always fix everything for me, so. Thank you. There you go. Thanks, man. This guy work here. All right. Is it working? We can use. There we go. That works. So as Mr. Manley presented to you, the property is located in the southeast corner of the intersection of Horsehaven and Syringa. The property with the yellow star is currently zoned R1 in the city. It has single-family residential home on it right now. The property in pink, changes color depending on the screen you're looking at. It is in the county. It's currently ag suburban. So if you look at the current zone properties here, this is your zone map overlaid. And looking at the zoning and the consistency of the request, that's why we're presenting tonight for a residential mixed zone. As you can see here, again, just a quick overlay with the two different areas. As you can see with the original R1 annexation and zoning for the property to the left, the right-of-ways were dedicated. As you can see, the right-of-way on Horsehaven Avenue has not been dedicated with the annexation request. And that, to me, being that Horsehaven Avenue is a minor collector and much needed for our traffic network, is an important step for the city. Just to create that network that we are so desperately seeking for the density we have currently in this area, let alone the density that we foresee coming to this area. This is a look, again, at the proposed subdivision, not to just beat this dead horse. You've reviewed the staff report that the staff has presented tonight, but it is a mix. I'm involved currently with some projects in the city that do have the more desirable not low income, I shouldn't say low income, affordable, obtainable housing to start off. We have looked at different products in the city. We've looked at this cottage home overlay that the city has, and the staff said, hey, why don't we just convert this to a residential mixed zoning, which will allow us to have both our single family request and also this cottage home request. And so we've looked at, again, Mr. Manley presented the network of roadways and how do we keep the aesthetics of the neighborhood, have that cottage home look, keep the aesthetics of our minor collector streets, presentable. And so we've put this density together. Again, we're allowed up to 8 units per acre. This conceptual layout shows roughly about 6 units per acre with a large open space area, which is a very desirable need for not only the cottage homes, but it also meets the 7% requirement for the residential mixed zoning. Again, obtainable housing. I have a lot of friends who, just based on their jobs, were required to move away. Now we have options for them to come back to the city of Post Falls, where I was born and raised, and we can put them in homes similar to the project before tonight. This is a different level, but obtainable housing, and that word did get tossed around a lot earlier, so not to bring it up again and again, but this is an opportunity for home ownership. Individual lots, large open space for areas to play, a stepping stone for some, but it is home ownership, and that is the dream for those seeking to move to this area. There are common space amenity requirements with that development, and again, this was all discussed during the subdivision process, but I think it's important to present to you tonight that, walkability, pedestrian access, playing, my son recently, I don't even know if I should say this if the police are here, but bought a scooter, electric scooter, and we've had a great time just running up and down the streets in an area that I feel safe. I read a lot about kids getting hurt, and I feel safe when he's in an area that he can ride that scooter safely, not bother people, and he's out of the public right-of-way. So, again, annexation and zone change have very similar requirements. One of the biggest requirements is the annexation of the property in the best interest of the city. To me, this is a desirable piece for the city. The desirable development that would take place in this area would be less than the 8 units per acre that we would be allowed under the annexation agreement, but what we're proposing is a much-needed portion of the city of Post Falls to be expanded. The improvements to Syringa, the improvements to Horsehaven are all part of the city's long-range traffic plan, and it also addresses some of the right-of-way issues that have plagued this area as far as traffic jams and congestion. And again, the criteria, the goals and policies that the city has laid out in the comprehensive plan have all, in my opinion, and I believe in staff's opinion, have all been addressed. We've looked at them several times, and we've had a lot of conversations and discussions with the city, and I believe we're all on the same page that this proposed zoning request, zone change request, and annexation with the residential mixed zoning brings the best product to the city of Post Falls. And again, I won't run through this, the criteria again. I know it's been presented to you tonight several times, but I'll stand for questions.
Question for Mr. MacArthur.
So the development agreement says single-family detached housing.
Correct.
Correct. RM zone has a lot of latitude. What would need to be in the development agreement so that we could get something that is 90% what you've presented to us and doesn't get significantly changed after our approval?
I think everything in the development agreement is consistent with what we've presented. I think it has the legal aspects that you're getting a vision, right? Once you see something, you can't unsee that. So the subdivision's been approved as is.
Okay.
Through planning and zoning.
Okay.
We're well under the density allowed in that annexation.
Okay.
Not saying there can't be modifications
Sure.
to that, but within reason. And I think major modifications to that would require a new subdivision request to planning and zoning.
Okay.
So I think my clients and I have worked with our attorney and the city's attorneys to go through and make sure that annexation agreement, development agreement is consistent with what we need to have happen as well as what the city needs to have happen. So.
Heaven help me, I like it.
Okay.
I know no one ever hears me say that, but I think it's done very nicely, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions, Mr. MacArthur?
The only comment that I would have, you kind of already answered in a broad sense, but RM zoning does allow for small-scale commercial development.
Right. I believe with the planning and zoning, we were not allowed to have. So I think that was excluded from our approval.
Approval. Okay.
Or recommendations, to council.
Is that specified in the development agreement?
I believe it was. It's not in the development. It was well discussed. There's currently no commercials proposed for this project right now. So in the development.
I would maybe just ask to add that specificity into the development agreement.
One thing I'll point out, and it was discussed at length at planning and zoning, is the need for that kind of hub, that commercial hub in the area. And I'm not saying this is the property for it. My clients and I have looked at all around this area, but I do live in this area of this project. And it would be nice to be able to go to a convenience store that's within,
I agree with you.
I'm not driving several miles to get to pick up a gallon of milk or whatever. So
The good news is the type of commercial development that's permissible in residential mixed is pretty limited. It's coffee shop, stores, no gas stations or trucking depots or.
Correct.
So did you say you're not considering doing any commercial then?
Right now, there's no proposed commercial for, is that the question? I'm sorry, could you ask that again? Yeah, no proposed commercial for the development.
That's disappointing.
Well, I don't think it's the right location.
I misread the report then because I thought there was going to be some commercial in here.
This location, there are 2 minor collectors there, but I don't believe this is the location in this vicinity for the commercial use. There is an old church that's on the corner of 16th and Syringa right now. I do believe that is a great commercial opportunity that is within the vicinity of this project.
Okay.
Questions, Mr.
In my professional opinion, I should.
Okay.
Not here advocating for the tear down of a church.
Wait, quote you on that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify?
We have none.
So I don't assume you're going to rebut then, is that correct? Thank you very much. Close the public hearing. So we've got 2 requests, right? One for annexation. Is that the one we're going to take first? Push a button.
I think that's probably easiest to take the annexation first, and then we can likely consider the zoning for the whole project.
Same time. Okay, so first question, is annexation of the property in the best interest of the city?
Yes. Checks all the boxes.
Yeah, the connectivity piece and the rights-of-way is really big. It literally provides multiple housing types in the same development. It fills a county pocket.
Yeah, I really like the layout where there's the kind of variety, having the cottage homes, but doing the more R1 sized around the edges. I think it's a very well done plan.
That was my question.
Great.
This is literally, as defined, a central island.
Yes.
So, I like that.
Agree.
Okay. So can we take the 2 together now, or do you want to take them separately?
I think we can take.
Push a button.
Push the button every time. We can take them both together.
Okay, so I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so the first review criteria is the proposed zoning district consistent with the future land use map and focus area contained in the currently adopted Post Falls Comprehensive Plan?
Say yes. It's consistent with the zoning designations in the master plan. It is predicated for low density, and this is actually lower than the allowable in R2, so I think taking that into account.
I would like to point out that it is odd, though, that we're doing annexation and zone and a zone change together, but I think that the diligence that the developer has done to make a cohesive product makes it worth operating in this manner. When I first read through the packet, I didn't like the idea of us being asked to do this kind of in this odd way, but it does meet the criteria like we're talking about, and I do like that. So.
And it avoids a separate public hearing.
Mm-hmm. But that doesn't bother me.
That's me. We can consolidate. Anybody else? Okay.
All right, is the proposed zoning district consistent with the goals and policies contained in the currently adopted Post Falls Comprehensive Plan that are relevant to the area under consideration?
And I would say yes, the connectivity piece and rights-of-way is huge. Filling the county pocket is great. Variety of housing types, it's all there.
Anyone else?
I think this is the true implementation of Goal 7 of having mixed uses. This is how I would like to see it, not just something different somewhere, but actually having it mixed, I think is quite delightful.
Yes.
Okay.
Does the proposed zoning district create a demonstrable adverse impact upon the delivery of services by any political subdivision providing public services within the city?
I would say the opposite. It actually helps deliver services through the connectivity of city limits and the roadway improvements, et cetera.
Yeah, these are some of those roads that residents drive on and then blame us for the road not being in good shape. It's in the middle of the city.
I think I'll still just say it every single time. I think there's a disconnect between the letters that we get and the behavior of some of those services out in the community, so it's worth noting.
Yeah, well noted.
All right. I think we've been through them all. Any further discussion? I'd entertain a motion.
I would move to approve the G2 development annexation and zone change, ANNX-25-2 and ZC-25-1, that they be assigned with the residential mixed zone designation and contain the development agreement as presented in the packet.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion. Roll call, please.
Plou,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleiter,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Motion passes. And I chuckle because I've seen a couple things with that I never expected to see, and I think that's good. As Councilor Stigleiter says, does this surprise you? And as Councilor Plou says, I wish I were commercial. And those are things that I just don't hear. So, yeah, it's time for me to retire. So, with that, thank you all for the discussions and your comments. Next public hearing is fiscal year 2026 budget amendment number 1 and a public hearing. Everybody okay without a break?
I'm okay.
I'll survive.
Yeah, I think we're good.
As long as Jason hurries up.
Oh, I thought I'd be here. I've got 20 slides we can go through.
You notice when I asked that question, I looked at Mr. Malloy.
Yeah.
As long as they're all spreadsheets, it'll be good.
We have tons of spreadsheets
Okay,
to go
good.
through. I'm just kidding. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the first of the budget amendment for the fiscal year 26, and there's a mix of items in this budget amendment. One of the items are going to be what we talked about during the budget hearing itself was there's a budget amendment that's going to come to council to talk about some of the items that we were going to bring back to council to discuss for the budget amendment. And the other piece of this budget amendment is what the items that we had purchased during fiscal year 25 that we ordered, but we haven't received yet. I don't pay for items we haven't received yet, so we need to rebudget for those in this fiscal year, and so those are some items in this budget amendment as well. So let's get started. Okay, I try to make it a little, change it up a little bit, but there's no way to make this entertaining, so we'll just start from the top. Fleet Maintenance has 2 dump trucks that they ordered, haven't received, in the tune of $570,000. Fleet Maintenance also ordered a sander, haven't received, in the tune of $30,000. Parks Department ordered equipment related to Chameleon Trail, in the tune of $9,910. Haven't received. Special Events have ordered a Christmas tree, which is coming up pretty quick. She's going to need that. Hasn't arrived yet, in the tune of $37,867.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a biggie.
Yeah, it is.
Is it hopefully not a one-time?
It's not a one-time, it's an
Okay.
everlasting tree, yes.
That's good news. I really figured you'd catch that.
I'll
That's
cut
why
you
I
a
was-
tree
I was
down
waiting
for
yeah.
35,000.
No, it's not a real tree, it's not a fake tree, it's everlasting, so it can be used multiple years, so.
Aluminum tree.
Oh, okay.
Like a gobstopper.
So, yeah.
It actually has arrived, came 3 days or 2 days after October 1st. We couldn't get the truck driver to drive faster.
So, no.
Safety first. Right.
So we're a little late with the budget amendments, November, but we're having, it's coming now. So, let's see, where were we with that? The
Street impact.
tree, okay. Street impact fee is paying for the completion of the Prairie Trail extension from Highway 41 to Zorros, $223,726. Street impact fee fund plans to complete the I-90 Highway 41 cycle track from Ross Point Road, 3rd Avenue to 2nd Avenue during the current fiscal year, $146,599. The Parks Department's looking to complete the Chameleon Park well. That was supposed to be done last year. Wasn't done last year, but they plan to do it this year.
and $52,855. Parks Department ordered vehicles in 25, but yet have not taken possession yet of $134,300. Facility Reserve Fund, we're going to rebudget to repave the 3rd Avenue parking lot for parks of $700,000.
Jason?
Yes?
There's a couple of these items and on the following pages that, like, some of them seem to be like declarative statements, like this was already planned and budgeted for
Yes.
and purchased and we just haven't paid it out yet.
Yes.
But then, like, the bottom one of the first page says seeks, and then in further, like, ones, it kind of has this language of
It's new.
is almost like asking a question.
Sure.
And so is
I
that
try to change up the verbiage so it wasn't so boring to be repetitive a little bit, yeah.
And which, I appreciate that. It's a good writer of
It's,
you.
it's not so boring to read, even though that's, trying to change up the verbiage a
But
little
my
bit.
question about it is, are you asking a question for some of these, or were they planned and we're just moving that we're doing the rollover to the next fiscal year?
Well, since it's a budget amendment, I'm still asking the question of, will we allow the budget amendment?
But it was budgeted for.
Yeah,
the previous year.
there's some of the items that were budgeted for
was.
last year, yes.
Some of them,
Some of them, yes.
but not all of them.
Not all of them, correct.
That's the distinction. That's good.
But why are they all rolled together then?
Because it's a budget amendment for all of them together.
So some of these items were the items we discussed during the budget process.
For the
And
7th?
so that is fund balance that we had, and we had conversations about actually committing that in 25 and chose to wait until 26 to bring this back as part of the budget amendment. So we had about $800,000 worth of items.
I remember
Those,
that.
with the exception of John's $130,000 item, I can't remember what it's called, attenuator.
The crash attenuator, yes.
The crash attenuator has been ordered. But other than that, the other items are items that we are asking to spend those funds, but they have not been spent yet. And those items have not been ordered yet.
As opposed to the ones that were ordered and not paid for, like a Christmas tree.
Like the Christmas tree.
This is correct.
I am uncomfortable with those being in the same approval, but please continue. I might be the only person.
Mainly because you feel it's not something that was previously approved? Is that correct?
Well, I think that they're two different items, and especially with so much clarity that we're trying to bring to the budget when we say the budget's $101.6 million or $1.3 million, but that includes so much of this rolling over from last year. But now we've sort of mixed the two requests.
Unbalanced, gotcha.
I think it makes it additionally confusing in a way
I can
that
split them apart. I know
we
which
don't
which
support.
items they are.
Okay, but you're still asking for one approval tonight.
Correct, but I
So-
can't. But I know which items they are, so you can say which items you. This could be a. I'm asking for a request to bring the budget amendment back. So this is the budget hearing, and so
Okay.
you can instruct staff.
We could, I'm sorry, Jason, I know you're trying really hard. We could table this and Jason could bring it back split for you. You could approve this in 2 or 3 different levels. So
Okay.
yes, we're bringing it forward as one request, but you could request you could approve some of the items and not approve others. We could bring back the list as you're being requested.
Gotcha.
And-
That's my feeling about it.
Yeah.
I'm one of 6, so
That's
I
what I was gonna
appreciate that.
I agree. If staff is
I
willing to
third
do
that.
So, okay, so let me just ask
There
this
are
question.
options.
Good question. So my question to council is, do we finish the public hearing?
I think, so, sorry to jump
I
in
would,
on this
I
one.
would move to table.
I think you
with
can,
that request.
I think you can consider the public, I think you could consider it in the public hearing, and then when we bring back the adoption of the amendments, we could bifurcate those out. So this.
So do the public
so you
hearing
could
now,
do the
but the
public hearing
approval
now.
later.
But it would always have been the approval later. So we have the public hearing, and then
Does that work?
the actual ordinance adoption comes back at a later date.
Okay,
we
so
could-
we're not approving it right now.
But we
Just
don't,
reviewing
but
it.
when we bring it back as
Ordinance?
old business ordinance, we don't talk about any of it.
So we can bring this back, so I know Field's suggesting 2 times, I'm suggesting this be presented 3. One, we complete the public hearing tonight, we come back to you at the next meeting as ongoing business, unfinished business, with Jason having that broken down for you. Then you can direct us to bring the ordinance to the next meeting.
And there is, discussion would be allowed, yes.
Okay, that works for me, but I'm only one of six.
No, you're not.
No, that's
Jason, continue.
I'm there with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Well,
so you will have a chance to comment.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say, was it could bring it back to any options, okay.
Well, I guess the other thing, if we're gonna bring it back broken out 3 different ways anyway, is it worth everybody's time to keep going through this one, or?
Well, I've already advertised for the public hearing, so
Oh,
then
yeah.
we could go through the
Alright.
public hearing again.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
I thought this was going to be boring.
I think you started I think you're just starting at the top on page 2.
Okay, let's see here. We had the Black Bay Boardwalk project. Park impact fees is $380,000. The street department has remaining funds from the traffic light repairs that are requested to be rolled over to the current fiscal year of $60,000. The street department would like to use funding to purchase the crash attenuator for the current fiscal year of $24,000. Parks Construction requests funding of $200,000 to repair and replace the Chase restrooms, which the insurance money didn't pay for, and that's going to be $200,000. The police department is preparing to set funds aside for next year, half this year and half next year, and that's going to be $208,770. Recreation is requesting funds for a new copier, and that's $888,800. Parks Department is needing to rekey all of the buildings and provide additional security of $65,000. The Parks Department is also requesting to purchase survey equipment of $9,000. And the Facilities Division would like to perform a condition assessment of all city-owned buildings and devise a plan to implement the suggested recommendations, and that's going to be $35,000. And so I've broken these out by fund of what that means. Oh, continue on, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. The remainder of the street construction from fiscal year 25 will be carried forward to the fiscal year of $32,000. Remainder of street ceiling from fiscal year 25 carried forward, if that's $30,000. Street department request the purchase of an asphalt hot box from carryover funds from 25, and that's $85,000. The Facilities Division requests adding funding for energy efficient tinting to City Hall using carryover funds. That's $6,000. There is funding available in 2025 that went unspent for ADA accommodations, and we are asking to roll those funds, and that's $40,000 into the current fiscal year. And the Water Capital Funds requesting to amend the budget to complete the master plan of $250,000. And I have it broken out by fund, which would be the top fund is the general fund, and the request would be for $1.6 million. The Facilities Reserve Fund would be $700,000. The Street Impact Fee Fund would be $370,000. Special events would be $37,000, and that would be that Christmas tree. Parks Impact Fee is $380,000. The Water Capital Fund is $250,000, and the total for the different funds that would be affected would be $3.3 million.
Other than the fact that we've requested additional information, are there additional questions of Jason at this point?
And I will bring it back
Are
at the
we
next
changing the
council.
locks just so Dave doesn't break in after he retires?
That's probably true.
There's a reason, Dave.
Yes.
Push the button.
Thank you, Field. To allow them to remote access to lock and unlock, and also program the timing on the locks for the bathrooms.
It was just a joke, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just,
Can I just add that? This is
don't let
just
him get up there.
one of
I'm
the-
not.
We've been doing this every year
Oh,
Yeah.
for replacing locks because the old systems, they get used, they wear out. And then the security cameras, same thing. So we're not replacing all of them, but it's a continued phasing of it.
Regular maintenance, so to speak, replacement. Thank you.
I'm really gonna miss Dave hijacking my public speaking.
Okay. So-
Every time he talks about the locks, sorry, all I can think about is the original Jurassic Park, where they're trying to get the remote locks to, right, like engage so the raptors don't get in. Yeah, sorry.
All right, any other questions, Jason? With that, I'm going to close the public hearing.
Any testimony?
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Anybody wishing to testify?
We have none.
Good, we're not going to let him rebut.
No.
Thank you. So I'm going to close, thank you, Joe. I'm going to close public hearing, and I know there's going to be conversation, but I think maybe a motion is more appropriate at this point.
So, yeah, what is the motion? Is it to continue the hearing to the next?
Nope, it would
Public
be,
hearing's
the
closed.
public hearing's closed, so it would just be to continue deliberations on this topic to the next meeting.
And direct staff to bring back
And direct staff to bring back
information.
the
broken.
parsed information. It's not really additional information because we've covered it all in the public hearing, but just a breakdown, so, of the.
So moved.
Second.
Well said. Motion to second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Good questions, folks. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business returning ordinances, and we do have 3 ordinances. First is the Idaho Ranch annexation.
I move to place the ordinance Idaho Ranch Annexation ANNX-24-8 on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Harrington.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, annexing property consisting of approximately 8.891 acres located on the northern half of 7155 West Prairie Avenue, providing for amendment of the official zoning map and providing for an effective date hereof.
I move to approve the ordinance Idaho Ranch Annexation ANNX-24-8 and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is the Early Dawn and Zorros annexation.
I move to place the ordinance Early Dawn and Zorros Annexation ANNX-24-1 on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, annexing property consisting of approximately 9.671 acres located at 4171 East Early Dawn Avenue, providing for amendment of the official zoning map and providing for an effective date hereof.
I move to approve the ordinance Early Dawn and Zorros Annexation ANNX-24-1 and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. And the third ordinance is the O'Brien vacation.
I move to place the ordinance O'Brien Vacation VAC-25-1 on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Please take the roll.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Harrington.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, providing for the vacation of a utility easement situated on the west 10 feet of Lot 15, Block 4 of the plat of River Park Plaza Addition, according to the plat thereof recorded in Book F, page 22, Records of Kootenai County, Idaho, located in the southeast quarter of Section 2, Township 50, North Range 5 West, Boise Meridian, as described herein, providing for disposition of the easement, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing severability, providing an effective date, and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
I move to approve the ordinance O'Brien Vacation VAC-25-1 and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Stigleader,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Flu,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item up is the Water Reclamation Facility Tertiary Treatment Project, service contract and warranty terms with Wigen Water Technologies. And yes, you do have the longest items on the agenda.
Just trying to put it all in the title.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, John Beecham, Public Works Director. I am here to talk about two separate items regarding the tertiary treatment water reclamation facility upgrade. So I'm stating these up front, but feel free to call me back to the question, to the items for consideration as we go through the details of it. So the first thing is a ongoing service contract with Wigen Water Technologies. They're the provider of the membrane technology that we have as part of this upgrade. They would provide tech support and service calls if we need that for the ongoing future. The second item is coupled with that, and that is a decrease in the warranty terms that Wigen would be required to provide for us as part of the construction contract of this project. So, my overview of what I'll talk through here, but suffice to say, background, then details, then questions. Wanted to start with what is membrane filtration. This is pertinent to this particular topic. So all of the equipment that you see on this left-hand side is provided by Wigen Water Technologies. That is all the pumps, valves, structures, etc., necessary to make the membrane filters work for the water reclamation facility. The filters themselves are the white cartridges you see installed on the right-hand side. Those are the semi-permeable plastic membranes that the water goes through and the phosphorus doesn't go through. This is one component of the tertiary treatment upgrade, but it is a significant one. This is about a $3 million contract with Wigen Water Technologies to provide the filtration system. History of this, also pertinent to what we're talking about today. We approved the modules which could be installed on this project in 2018 after a pilot test. At the time, Dow Chemical Company manufactured these modules. They were one of 3 approved modules that could be used. In 2019, we bid out someone to provide the modules and all the equipment to make them run. Wigen won that contract. That was signed in 2019. We designed around their system. Their procurement contract was assigned to our general contractor, Slutton Construction, in 2020. So we bought the modules, we bought the design work, and then we assigned it all to the general contractor to be installed. Construction has consumed the last 5 years, and we are, in 2026, we'll be going into ongoing operations. So project relationships here, JUB, mentioned in the staff report, JUB is our project engineer. They have sub-consultants under them who do a lot of specialty work. Slutton is the general contractor. We bid the work for Wigen and then assigned it to Slutton, just to remind everyone of that. So Slutton has some degree of involvement in this project, in this discussion, but what we're really talking about is their sub-consultant or subcontractor who is Wigen at this time. Okay, so where are we with regard to the membranes themselves on this project? The membrane equipment has been running successfully since the end of March of this year. So March 31st, 2025, that went into operation with our staff pulling the levers. The required documentation showing that it was performing correctly, providing the warranties, those things remained outstanding at that time. So that was on the to-do list for the project. That's part of why we're not closed out. The documentation has been provided, so that box was checked, but the warranties have not been delivered to us as stated in the contract, which is part of why I'm here today. That is the last required item from Wigen to close out their part of the project. Once we have that, we anticipate being in a position to issue a substantial completion certificate on the project. So that's where we are with the project. This is sort of the last hurdle.
What does it mean to have a warranty delivered? Like the file emailed?
You literally get a certificate that says we will warranty this product to be free of problems for some number of,
okay.
Call us if you have an issue.
Okay.
Are you going to get into why it was decreased?
Yes. Okay. I've got lots more slides. I'm trying to go through them quickly because it's been a long meeting. Just so you know, there are some schedule-related issues that remain with Slutton. we'll be back to talk to you about those another night. And with that, closeout and payment. So the module warranty, like I said, guarantees against defects. What we specified in our contract was a 1-year full warranty with a 6-year prorated warranty. This is on the modules themselves, so the white canisters you saw in the pictures. These typically last 7 to 12 years, which is why we wanted a 6-year warranty on them. The intended arrangement was that the manufacturer, Dow Chemical, who's now DuPont, would provide a warranty to Wigen, who would provide a similar warranty to us, since that's how the contractual relationships worked. So the contract with Sletton and Wigen has been extended a couple of times. As you know, we've been here to talk about that. So delays through 2024 were all settled with those prior contract amendments. The city's warranty is based on the day that the membranes started operation with our staff pulling the levers. So that would be that March 31st date. The warranty that Wigen got from DuPont back in 2019 when they were doing their bidding was based on the ship date to Wigen. That was not anticipated to be a problem.
That's so crummy.
Yeah.
Fair comment. So the dates are outlined here. The contract date for what we have with Wigen, full warranty would begin March 31st of this year. End of the warranty would be 1 year later, and then 6 years after that would be the end of the full warranty. The warranty DuPont is providing to Wigen is backdated about 22 months from that. That's based on the ship date that they provided to the project, and then there was I think 180 days after that, or something like that, when it went into effect. Sorry, that's what I wrote here. That is correct. So you do the same math. Those dates start earlier. I didn't put this in the packet, but I made a graph because I love graphs to help illustrate this. So the warranty, were it, as the contract outlines, would start here and run for 1 full year to March of 2026. Then it starts decreasing as that time goes on. So what that means is if the modules fail, we have to replace them, we get some prorated share of what that cost is. So it decreases over time. What's being offered is the lesser of those two lines, so call it orange in this graph. What we would be giving up is sort of the blue. So if the module fails 1/1/2028, we give up this percentage of that reimbursement price. Does that make sense? So they're still covering what a lesser prorated amount, we're covering the balance. So why would we want to do that?
Yes.
Wigen proposed, they are in a position where they would be bearing the risk for someone else's product. They feel that's not necessarily fair. It is a financial risk to them. So in order to offset that financial risk that we would be taking on, they're offering to provide basically free remote tech support, which we are already using as part of the construction contract. So that will end 1 year from when it went into operation. It'll end 3/31/26. They're offering to continue that at no cost and to provide site visits as we need them. What that helps us do is, since this is new to us and there are a lot of bells and whistles or levers to pull on that system, it helps us operate it in a way that does maintain the warranty coverage for the remaining warranty, and more importantly, helps us to run it in a way that we do not damage the membranes in a way that we can't recover them, we can't clean them up. So it, in our opinion, significantly increases our chances of running it correctly for the ongoing future, not just for 1 year, but for multiple years. So that service contract would be a separate contract from the procurement contract and the assigned contract to Sletton. This would be a new agreement with the city. I kind of talked about some of the details in that, but one thing worth noting, we approached our programmer about whether they could do some of this work, and they said, perhaps it would be far better if you hire the person who did it to go in and you want to move the box on the screen from here to here, they can do it in 30 seconds. We could do it in like 30 days. So they didn't give me those are made up numbers, but they would have to figure out what had been done. So their strong recommendation was to pursue this service contract with Wigen for that reason. They're able to do that sort of work remotely, so we would not be paying for them to come out and fix the small programming thing that we wanted improved.
Only 4 hours a month for free?
4 hours a month for free. And
So not totally free for a whole year, just 4 hours a month.
4 hours of, yeah, hold on a second, I got more on that side. But,
Okay, I'm sorry.
no,
Stealing the thunder.
there's a lot of information here. I appreciate
Okay,
the questions.
okay,
What I'm
okay.
trying to say is I have a little bit more detail about the value of that 4 hours further on in the
Okay.
presentation. So on that, let's go to the value of the service contract, which is on the right-hand side of this. If you take only the 4 hours of service time every month, that comes out to about $14,000 of what they would charge otherwise per year. So we're getting $14,000 of free services every year with this contract, is what that's saying. This is not an easy thing to monetize, but if we extend the life of the modules through running them more efficiently, each time we do that by 1 year, we save about $143,000. That's just based on a 7-year replacement cycle, I think. On the other side of the equation, I was trying to estimate the value of this warranty. And I asked JUB's subconsultant who does membrane work, how many of these things fail and have a warranty claim? They said over 20 to 25 years, probably maybe 5 to 7%. Okay, it's not a nothing number, but it's not a huge number. So what I did is there's a model where you can monetize risk by taking the consequence times the likelihood of failure. So say a 5% chance of risk, and a full value of these modules would be $825,000, today's dollars. That total risk would be $41,000. That's over the 6-7 years that we would have the warranty. That being said, the warranty is prorated. Like I showed you on that graph, it's decreasing. So the value is actually less than that $41,000. I don't know if this is the perfect way to quantify warranty risk. I'm not an insurance adjuster. It was something that made sense to me. This is sort of an engineering approach to it, but if some of you bankers have a different way to look at it, let me know. Happy to run the numbers differently. Looking at that, if we would break even in like 3 years is basically what my analysis was on that. There is a non-monetary value of that, which is when our operations staff get an alarm in the middle of the night that they don't understand, they have someone to call. If we don't have a service contract, they don't have someone to call. So that value for our operations staff is tremendous. So with all of these contract adjustments, I think I've put this slide up here. There's really 3 things that we try to hold in mind as we're talking to different contractors. We want to be a good business partner. We want people to do business with us and know that we're going to treat people fairly. We want to stay within the contract. That's why we're here talking about it, not just off doing silly things outside the contract. And most importantly, we want to ensure that what we get for the ratepayers is a good value. In this case, we're here to say we think a service contract represents a better value than what we would be getting out of this extended warranty. So, these are next steps for the project, but I figured they might get asked about, so I did want to mention them. We need to resolve the time claim with Sletton. There's closeout paperwork and payments. That process will take several months for a project this large. And there is an adjustment with Panhandle Area Council who does the wage verification. That will be a very small number, but it is going to be coming back to you. I would like to say that as the project wraps up, we would love to have you all out for a tour. So that's also on the next steps. So this is the requested action and recommendation, but more importantly, what questions do you have before we get there?
Questions for John?
I just want you to get a written explanation from DuPont. why the warranty start date is not the actual install date. Is there calendar fade? Does it have a shelf life? But that's just me being annoyed. So it sounds like you prefer the service contract anyway, which your reasoning has greater benefit to the city. So I'm not pushing you on that. I'm just.
Your point's valid, though. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Who knew that that was the warranty? Were we aware that that was DuPont's warranty? Like when it started?
It is possible that Wigen knew of the discrepancy when they were bidding, but I don't know that those documents were ever provided to us along the way. What we would get from any of the vendors is, we will meet your warranty terms. When we do at that time of bid, they would say, this is our price, we agree to your terms, which is to provide this warranty. We don't see all of the things that have happened in the background for them to make that happen.
It is fairly common for warranty provisions to start. In most of my world, it's on, upon delivery, because they don't know how we're handling it necessarily once the stuff gets here and everything else. So, it could be storing it out in the rain until, for a year until it gets up and running. So it's not an unusual.
Seems like it was a contract that existed, but we're not being told, we're asking to make alterations to what we thought existed 5 years later. So that's sort of my question.
I agree with that. So that, it's contrary to the contract. I don't know if it makes me feel that much better. It's not unusual for it to start the way it has, but the whole thing just kind of stinks.
I would say that we're past that now, but I would say in my nonprofit life, building a facility, we had an incredibly advanced HVAC system that we didn't get a service program with, and it was terrible. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world to be able to have those resources. I mean, yeah, I think that's very important.
And I do appreciate that Sletton came to the table with a solution, and I understand their hands are pretty well tied too, because they're not big enough for Dow to care about.
Right.
We're certainly not big enough or I guess it's DuPont now, to care about. So they could have just told us to pound sand, this is the way it's going to be, and take us to court. But the fact they came forward with a remedy, I appreciate.
To clarify, Wigen Water Technologies came forward with that.
Okay.
Anybody want to float a motion?
I have just one quick comment.
Go
It
ahead.
seems like there really isn't a choice here. Like there isn't an option of just saying, no, you're going to carry the product warranty for 2 years. So really
I think we have the opportunity to insist upon that, or to try to insist upon that. I think the risk we run is they've indicated that makes them a lot less willing to continue working with us. The more we push them on obligations that they struggle to, how do I say that? They don't have a good recourse. If the thing fails when they're carrying the warranty, it's not like they failed, it's DuPont's failure, but they're held accountable.
Which really
for
would
it.
just add more relevance to your risk assessment of, is it worth even pursuing that option?
Sure.
I guess maybe I just feel like you are a great business partner, and sometimes I feel like in pursuit of that, we take on more to keep those relationships going. And I think in this case, I see how it could possibly be monetarily beneficial. All of this is speculation. But to my question, Wigen should have known what this contract was when they agreed to pass it through to us. But now that the contract is being looked at, and perhaps it means that they're going to bear more risk, there's a proposal being brought to the table. And to Nathan's point, what, do we say no and then we lose all of our warranty anyway? So I appreciate that they came to the table, but what I don't like is that kind of subtle message in the background, which is either you take this or you kind of get no warranty at all because it's too much of a risk for us, even though we probably agreed to the original warranty as it was because somebody was given it. I appreciate your professional opinion that this is more beneficial to the city, and I'm happy to support that because you are the expert, but some of these presentations, I feel like we are really good partners, and because we are the city, it's viewed as us having the ability to make these happen or bear the cost of them, and sometimes I get a little peaked at that. So,
Would the warranty discrepancy have been an issue if the project were on schedule?
I'm trying to remember what the original date was. We would have had something like 10 months of float or something like that before it had become an issue. And there's so many ifs in that. When did the product ship, I think is a difficult question. Let me back up. Had everything gone according to schedule, no, it would not have been.
Yeah.
So if
'Cause a lot
we had
of this
wrapped
was-
this up in 2022, no, it wouldn't have been an issue.
A lot of this was from unforeseen delays, and we're just looking at the impact of the contract from that. Is this my understanding of it? But I appreciate the way you did the expected value calculations, because I would have done probably the same thing to quantify the risk on that.
Thank you.
Okay. We need a motion.
I would move to approve the water reclamation facility tertiary treatment project surface contract and warranty terms with Wigen Water Technologies.
Second. Motion, couple seconds.
Couple seconds.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Davis.
Aye.
Klug.
Aye.
Westland.
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Stiglater.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, John. Next item up tonight's new business, Highland and Montrose lift station standby power upgrades. Andrew.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Andrew Arbini, Projects Division Manager. So I am presenting a recommendation of award to Valley Electric. This is for some power, backup power upgrades at the Highland and Montrose lift stations. An example of the generator is in that picture on the screen. That's another project we did a few years ago. So the Montrose lift station, it came up earlier tonight. It's located along McGuire Road. This was constructed in 2008. The other lift station on the opposite side of town is between Highway 41 and Hutter. That was constructed in 1993. So existing condition of the lift station, starting with Highlands, much of the lift station infrastructure, we've been, operations staff has been working to make improvements on that over recent years. What that has highlighted is the need to replace the existing generator, as that's become less reliable in a emergency outage and providing backup power. The Montrose lift station is currently served by a trailer-mounted generator with the need to upgrade that generator to a larger capacity to accommodate for increased flows into the facility, and then make that a dedicated generator on site instead of a portable unit as it currently is. So these projects were identified in the 2019 Collections Master Plan. An outcome of that plan established an annual budget of $542,000 for lift station equipment replacement. So that is an annual budget, and that's where the funding will come for both of these projects. We contracted with JUB engineers to develop the design and electrical drawings. So they are providing the engineering and then the construction management support for the project. Quick highlight of the improvements. Most of Highlands lift station will be a replacement of that infrastructure, the generator, also the ATS. At Montrose, we are able to reuse some of that equipment. We can reuse that ATS just because it's a newer piece of equipment, and then that portable generator will go back to the operations fleet of portable generators. We solicited bids to a list of contractors following the informal bidding process under Idaho code. That is for public works construction with an estimated cost of less than $250,000. We received bids on October 22nd. The low bid was received from Valley Electric in the amount of $175,079. The engineer's estimate at the time of bid was $212,000. So following JUB and city legal review, the recommendation is to award the project to Valley Electric. The contract award with a 10% contingency brings the total request to $192,587. As I mentioned previously, this will be funded through that line item for lift station equipment. Overall project summary, we started with a $250,000 budget. of what we anticipated this project would be. With the contingencies, looking at both the construction and engineering CMS contract with JUV, that totals $242,587. A little bit of next steps, where we go from here is a following and contract award this evening. We will establish a start date with Valley Electric, develop a construction schedule with them. We are aware that the generators are long lead times, about 6 to 7 months. So we built that into the schedule. We anticipate project completion by summer of next year. So initial steps will be submittals, getting equipment ordered, hopefully by the first of the year, and then waiting for everything to arrive and assemble it this summer. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions of Andrew?
These are backup generators, correct? They're only used when needed? Okay.
Correct.
So if we need to upgrade one of them, can any of our impact fees be used to offset that price?
If we need to upgrade the generator itself, instead of using these funds, using impact dollars?
A portion of it?
Do I understand that correctly?
We
So-
don't collect impact fees for wastewater.
It's just a question.
So we don't currently collect impact fees for wastewater improvements.
Okay.
So there's not an impact fee dollar that could be assigned to this, and typically, even if there were, that goes to new growth areas, and this is probably not a growth item. It's really serving existing development. So-
Montrose isn't a growth area, and we're needing a more high power
So
generator.
the Montrose lift station is in the Montrose sewer basin, and it was designed with, so the master plan identified what the anticipated growth would be inside that basin area. And so those improvements occur as that maximum capacity, as we approach that maximum design capacity. So we are, I believe the most recent master plan identified a threshold for flows that we have not met yet. And so as we start moving towards that threshold, a need for larger pumps, which we've done, and we'll continue to upsize those pumps up to that maximum flow amount.
But there is no impact fee for that.
No impact dollars being used for this
We collect
project.
impact
This
fees for
is,
the streets, police, and
Okay.
parks, so.
and I guess backing up with the model, so when we do, or the master plan, when we put those together, at the previous meeting, we talked on rates. A rate study is built into those master plans, and that looks at, these are the capital needs and the improvements for the collection system, for the plant, and then basing that rate model. That's how that's developed. And that's ultimately how this annual budget was developed.
Any other questions of Andrew? Anyone make a motion?
I would move to approve the Highlands and Montrose lift station standby power upgrades and recommendation of award.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Plou,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Stiglater,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Next item up is citizens' issues, and this section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council on a city-related issue that is not on the agenda. If anyone wishes to speak, come forward. Seeing none. Administrative staff reports tonight, we have none.
We have none tonight, sir.
Thanks for pushing the button, Field. Mayor and council comments, I don't have any comments tonight. How about council comments?
I was curious about a couple of follow-up items. The ducks and chickens change in city ordinance that was presented on. Was that something that was being followed up on, was gonna come back to us? Maybe?
I don't remember that one.
I don't know if you were here, Mr. Mayor.
I probably don't
Was I
remember.
here? I don't remember that.
I also was
I don't
not
remember that
here.
one either.
But
Is there a duck and chicken ordinance?
Did I dream this? No, wasn't there like a really nice presentation?
I will look into it. I don't
About,
know what this is, but we'll look into it.
like,
I saw something in the meeting minutes for the planning and zoning.
yeah,
I
ducks and
think maybe it was
chickens.
at that hearing.
I believe it was at a planning and zoning commission hearing, because I believe I was watching it, and I think Chris was sitting here, so.
Okay, so can that be brought to us? I'd love to say that ducks and chickens can both be in the city.
What
So-
about zebras and giraffes?
Sure. And then I was also wondering if city council could get an update on the progress with the comprehensive plan review, as we're not all on the steering committee.
Is that something you want to bring back, or can you want to just give us a quick update now?
Either way.
Okay.
Bob Seal, Community Development Director. Yes, so the comprehensive plan is continuing to move along. We recently met with the advisory committee that is made up of various individuals from the community, in addition to Mr. Westland. And we are currently moving towards the phase of looking at some of the specific growth areas around the city, and at which point we will be inviting public comment, council input, planning and zoning commission input into those different design areas. That's kind of where we're at with that. We'll also be coming to you in January with the fiscal impact analysis presentation. And that was, again, part of the comprehensive plan. I think that that's more or less where we're at right now.
Are we on track, given the timeline that
yes.
was given to us?
Yes, we're on track for, I believe that the current timeline shows us completing it by around November.
Of next year?
Yes.
Okay, and you meet how often with the,
Well, the advisory committee meets every couple of months.
okay.
Because we're
been-
trying to be, coordinate with them. They kind of work as, their function is to be as a sounding board to the Planning and Zoning Commission that's tasked with drafting the comprehensive plan. And so it ties in that committee
Okay.
for those purposes.
So the next thing we should see are these areas.
Yeah, I believe that was the next piece, and it was in the next couple of months that we want to start trying to dig into those and look at those areas more closely.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
Thank you. Any other council comments? We do not need an exec. Okay. I'm sorry, I thought you said something.
Oh, no.
No, sorry. Any other, or we do not need an executive session?
We do not.
Good job. Next motion is?
Adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.